It's been quite an awesome week so far. He spoke on Tuesday and Wednesday in New Hampshire after that great win in Iowa on Monday night. So I want to get right to these newspaper headlines real quick. And they're from the Boston Herald and also the newspaper here in Concord that I want to show you the headlines that I purchased at a local gas station. So I'm going to grab them real quick. And the first one I want to show you is the Boston Herald, saying a granite state of mind. Lovely, lovely mainstream media, once again, hoping that the Democrat the Republican Nikki Haley, is getting the front page of the Boston Herald, just a state south of us in Massachusetts. And then I want to show you one other local paper here from the Concord Monitor as the capital of the Granite State. So it just says primary 2024. But in the photo here, it has Governor Sununu in the photo, talking about something back in years ago, watching Ronald Reagan, some sort of meeting that they had. But again, more of the same. Nothing about the huge polls right now that have President Trump in a massive lead, according to which poll you look at. The USA Today poll as well, he is leading, but it's not as massive as this other one. So I'm going to look at those polls right now and share with you the latest. Now, interactive polls, which I follow now on Truth Social, I should have followed that a long time ago. These guys are great, and so are Real Clear Politics. I also just started following them on Truth Social. Before I get to these statistics and the polling, it's something that I think that would be great if you were to follow RSBN as well on Truth Social and pass the word along that this is obviously 2024 election season, but it is a network that will be there every step of the way, covering every angle, every detail possible. And it's the unedited part that I really like about this network is you start right now and you go all the way until the end of President Trump's speech with some final thoughts. And then we go on to letting you know that we have more programming. We'll let you know those dates. But definitely wall-to-wall coverage about to happen. Before we get to some of those polls, I do want to thank our friends at Birch Gold Group as we head toward another presidential election here in 2024. As I've mentioned this week, it's very important to understand that the value of the dollar is continuing to go down, and these other countries are really trying to make that happen as well. And we're referring to BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and others are trying to use their local currencies. Well, there's a backup plan. And the backup plan should actually be, it's kind of like having a backup quarterback. Forget the if the first string goes down, you got to have the backup go in there and play and throw some touchdowns. Well, Birch Gold Group, they throw touchdowns left and right, because if you need a tax-sheltered IRA or a backed 401k, you can get that in gold and silver and precious metals. Text Trump to 8898. That's Trump to 989898. to combat what the left is trying to do, and some of the globalists as well. And it reminds me of the World Economic Forum right now, where Alex Soros, the lovely son of George Soros, was just speaking, and I saw this on InfoWars just moments ago, and Alex was saying that President Trump is the one that brought an end to democracy when he became president in 2016. So when President Trump was doing great things and having some great leaders with him within his cabinet, helping out our country, doing things that are good for the economy, good for immigration. And as President Trump says, there was really not a lot of talk about immigration when he was running in 2016 and 2020 or in 2020, because there weren't many problems going on the southern border. Obviously, a big change right now going on. But back to that point with the World Economic Forum, you need to have a backup plan. So if you've got that a few extra bucks to really get your money backed by gold or silver, text Trump to 8898. Now let's get to the polls that I was referring to. The 2024 New Hampshire GOP primary, Trump is at 52%, and he's leading by 17 points over and I put it in my notes to joke around about it. I did show you the Boston Herald, and I called Nikki Haley a Democrat. I know she's a Republican, but at the end of the day, actions are speaking louder than words with what's going on there. My opinion, of course, and the percentage that Nikki Haley has is 35%. So President Trump at 52%, Nikki Haley at 35%. That's a 17-point lead. Now, that's just for the USA Today poll. If you look at the Redfield-Wilton poll, Trump has 72%, Haley at 9%, DeSantis at 9%. That's a 63-point lead in the Granite State here in New Hampshire. It's pretty similar to some of the polls you see out of Nevada. We're going to have actually a report from our correspondent, Brian Glenn, who's also the program director at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As all of you know, a great man, a great reporter and correspondent, and leading the way in the conservative media. But he will have a report a little bit later in the show before President Trump speaks in regards to some news in Nevada, as that will be the next caucus on February 8th. But we're not there yet. Obviously, we have 4 days until the primary here on January 20th in the state of New Hampshire. Pretty wild to see that poll right there. 72% for Trump, 9% for Haley. That's the Redfield-Wilton poll. The USA Today poll, which obviously a left-wing media outlet, has President Trump at 52% and Haley at 35%. We were talking the other day about some of the things going on with infiltrating the primary here in New Hampshire by some Democrats. It's called a crossover vote, where Democrats will actually change their party affiliation with the Secretary of State's office here in New Hampshire, say that they're a Republican for the primary, vote for someone like another candidate other than Trump, and then switch that candidacy or switch that affiliation back to Democrat for the general election. I heard other statistics by Peter Navarro, and I have to cite where I hear it, obviously, as a journalist. So it was on Steve Bannon's show, The War Room, which is, a great show as well. Steve Bannon, a rock star, of course, for the conservative movement. But Dr. Peter Navarro was saying 40% of registered voters in New Hampshire are independent. 30% are Republican. So it looks like this independent group of the voting bloc may vote for someone other than President Trump on the primary. And also then you got to be considering the Democratic situation, where the infiltration of some Democrats that will say, well, they're a Republican for this primary just because they're anti-Trump. Well, guess what? The polls and the people, it's the 1-2 punch, figuratively speaking, that shows the truth. The fact that the polls are heavily in favor of 45, and when you see every event, I mean, Atkinson on Tuesday night, then just the other night in another town here in New Hampshire, and then here in Concord, everybody's showing up. It's wall to wall with people that are supporters of the president. You'll see much of the same here tonight. And as I actually will step out of the way for you and let you look at the stage that we're working with here in Concord. We're at the Grappone Center, and we see that people are taking their seats in at least the first few rows. This looks like it's going to be about 10 to 15 rows of people seated, and then the rest will be standing room only. This is a much larger event space than the one that was in Portsmouth on Tuesday night. That one slipped my mind earlier when I was saying how he was in Atkinson. Then he was in Portsmouth, of course, where that ballroom, it was a small ballroom, but I'll tell you, that was an awesome event because he was interacting with the voters pretty much throughout the whole speech. It was almost like a fireside chat instead of a major speech, which will be something that will be tonight, but also, I'll tell you, tomorrow night in Manchester, it looks like it's going to be inside this nice arena. So more of a MAGA rally tomorrow. Brian Glenn and I will see if there's any other correspondents joining us, but I know Brian will be here. He has actually landed and will be joining us tomorrow for that rally in Manchester, with a number of events that will be happening all the way leading up to primary day. Again, the first in the nation primary on January 23rd. You know, it's pretty cool to see a number of people in here that are pretty happy to be inside. I'll tell you, 18 degrees outside with a wind chill of at least 10 to 15 degrees. I mean, it's bitter cold out there. Those of you in Iowa, we understand your pain, but these people didn't care. They said, you know, I'm going to stand in this line. I'm going to bundle up. I mean, let's be real too. I mean, a lot of people are from Massachusetts and New Hampshire here in this crowd, and they are used to it. Not too far from Canada. And I actually took some notes about Canada as well that I wanted to share with you, the viewer watching right now, whether you're watching on the app or the website or Rumble or YouTube or any other way that it's getting streamed for Right Side Broadcasting Network. I do love the United States of America, but I also like and love Canada pretty much because pretty much any country that loves freedom. Now, I say that only talking and referring to the people of the country. I know that Trudeau and Ottawa and the government there is not pro-freedom, is not pro-MAGA or pro-Trump. But there are people in Canada that like the MAGA movement and want it to continue. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to a group of journalists, and I'll step on camera for this one. There's a group in Davos, Switzerland right now, and some of you might know of Rebel News. I just have to give a quick shout out. They are Canadian-based journalists that are in Davos, Switzerland, and they just go right after people with, you know, BlackRock or Pfizer and others, but they also just ask them questions, you know, very legitimate questions about certain things. And so it's just great to see journalism from a conservative side, not a news organization that's based in the States, but that's based in Canada, doing wonderful things. A couple more things about Canada. You guys are probably like, what is this guy, Canadian? No, I'm not Canadian. I'm a United States citizen. But again, any country, including Argentina and others, I love because it's becoming a global movement of freedom. And I'll get to a President Trump Truth Social post in just a minute, talking about Javier Milei in Argentina. He posted something on Truth Social earlier today that I'll read in just a bit, just to kind of prove that point as what I'm saying about other nations joining this community of people, you know, for the cause of freedom. So one other thing I wanted to mention, Theo Fleury, for those of you that are hockey fans, since we're in New Hampshire and we're near Massachusetts, a lot of hockey fans up this way. Theo Fleury used to play, of course, for the Calgary Flame. He's actually on Truth Social. He says he's a patriot, and I believe that as well. And he actually stands up for mental health as well, helping out people that have any mental health issues, but also the fact that he is on Truth. You know, he's a supporter of the movement. You think of the Canadian truckers that went through so much. Some of their bank accounts, some of the protesters as well, their bank accounts were frozen for supporting the people that were just doing their job, and the Canadian government kept trying to clamp down on what they were doing. So, I mean, it's great to see a number of countries stepping up, joining this, I won't say fight at this point. I mean, yeah, fight for freedom, figuratively speaking, for the country. So, as we know, President Trump is all about that, and as you are as well, watching here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, we'll get to that comment from President Trump in just a bit. So once again, we're only 4 days from the primary. On January 23rd, 7 o'clock. I've been talking to some of the local reporters here. I mean, it is a promotion that's happening all over the local media about this. I mean, obviously a very big story for New Hampshire. As people say, you know, all eyes are on New Hampshire, and that's one of the local outlets' promotion, and it's true. I mean, the eyes are on this state. It's a state of about 1.3 million people, but this is a state that's very vocal in their politics. They love their political sides here, and you'll hear in the crowd, most likely tonight as well, at least every event that I've covered in New Hampshire, whether it was with Brian Glenn or Vanessa Broussard or others, the people will yell out to the president. Usually it's, in support, obviously, but it's also them being upset with the current administration. And there are so many issues going on right now that our country's dealing with. So in about 10 months, it'll be time to go to the polls and hopefully elect a brand new president, in the sense of not Joe Biden, but someone that was the president in 2016 to 2020. Since we're in that ballpark right now talking about November, let's talk about September and October. There are 3 scheduled presidential debates, 2 in October, 1 in September. As of right now, I was doing some research. It looks like President Trump will be taking part in those debates, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he won't. And I think that since he was the president in 2016 to 2020 and he won all of those swing states, can you believe that? All of the swing states, Georgia and Michigan and Pennsylvania, Nevada. I mean, come on. And then all of a sudden, those states are flipped in 2020. But why, in my opinion, this isn't President Trump's opinion, but I see that he might be debating, but I want to hear from maybe Brian Glenn tomorrow and others, just their thoughts on him debating against whether it's Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom. It's almost like these guys are beneath him. I mean, he already was the commander-in-chief, so we'll see what happens in the fall for the president. Now, let's talk about the Wellness Contagion Kit. This is something that is great because it's something to help you, the American viewer, and anywhere around the world, actually, you can get this kit sent to you. Let's take a live look right now as we talk about this contagion kit. They also have an emergency kit, the Wellness Company, but is this 2020 all over again? It is an election year after all, so remember Event 201 in October of 2019, and actually what happened just a couple months later when COVID-19 started to sweep headlines in January. Well, as I mentioned the other day, the WEF overlords met this week, and Disease X is on the docket. The WEF's website states, with fresh warnings from the World Health Organization, that an unknown Disease X could result in 20 times more fatalities than the coronavirus pandemic. What novel efforts are needed to prepare healthcare systems for the multiple challenges ahead? Well, they got us in 2020, but no matter what's coming in 2024, the most important thing you could do is be prepared ahead of time with food, ammo, gold, and medications. That's where the Wellness Company's Contagion Emergency Kit comes in. It's the only one of its kind. This kit actually provides you with a carefully selected assortment of effective medications for COVID-19 and other respiratory illnesses. We're talking ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, Z-Pak, and budesonide, along with a nebulizer. So you can actually just rest easy knowing that you have an emergency kit and medicine on hand, along with a guidebook for safe use. So once again, this is the Wellness Company. The Chief Medical Board is committed to empowering you to take control of your health, avoid the hospital, avoid the cost of a doctor's visit or calling an ambulance, avoid getting caught unexpectedly. Go to MakeCareGreatAgain.com. You see that right there on the screen. Grab your Contagion Emergency Kit right now. That's MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Code RSBN actually saves you 15% at checkout. Don't wait until you need it. Take control of your health today with the Wellness Company's Contagion Emergency Kit. Kits are only available in the United States. So that's a correction. When I started talking about this kit, I was saying that they could mail it anywhere in the world. The correction is only in the States, only in the United States can you receive this product. But it is a product full of great things. As we are facing some uncertain times, who knows what is up the sleeve of some of the people that try and pull the strings on what's going on globally. But I'll tell you, we outnumber and have more money than they do combined. And I'm not just talking about the United States of America and the citizens here. We're talking about all of the people that are in free countries around the world and the people that love freedom. So that's what obviously this is all about. I know I do repeat myself talking about that because it's just something that is, it's not rocket science. It's something that we're all dealing with, and we hope to see more protection, more safety, better economy, better gas prices, better housing prices, the inflation to drop to what it was under the Trump administration. There are so many things that the Trump administration and his staff and soon-to-be cabinet, hopefully, are aware of now that might not have been aware of in 2016 to 2020. AKA the deep state, AKA, well, I know they're aware of that, but I'm talking about the amount of people in the swamp. Talk about draining the swamp. There's a lot of swamp creatures, as many of you guys know out there, that the president and his staff would like to show who's boss in a way of success. I mean, think about it. That's what President Trump said the other day. The way we can unify our country, he said, is through success. That is what we're looking for here in this country. So back to it here in Concord, the Capitol. We're about just one exit stop away from the Capitol building, the State House here in New Hampshire. Once again, about 18 degrees out. So the people here are thawing out, happy to be inside. Temperature controlled, about 72 degrees, maybe 68, who knows. But it feels a lot better in here than outside. But I'll tell you, the people made it in. And I do see one of the people that I saw in line. He's actually, you probably can't see him from the camera vantage point right now, but he has a blue sweatshirt on, and he has a license plate, kind of like a necklace, but it's the license plate of New Hampshire, and it has 4 big letters on that license plate, M-A-G-A. Actually took a photo of it. It was pretty cool to see that. He's kind of walking over this way. I don't know if we can see him. He's to the left. Maybe we could actually have him come over this way and show us that plate. He's actually facing us right now. If we can zoom in right there on the plate, it says it right there, MAGA. And he asked me, he goes, "Do you think I can get in with this?" And he's taking the photo. You could see it right there. It was pretty cool to talk to him. I was just walking by, and there was some "Let's Go Brandon" chants out there, and it was nice to chat with him real quick. And people are still filing in. A lot of security with the Secret Service and all levels of government. When it comes to anywhere a president is, regardless of who it is, right? As you know, there is security and law enforcement, whether that's local, whether that's county, state, and federal. Well, we've got them all here. This place is secure, not only inside, but every room, every area of this place, and then outside as well. So it's great to see everyone coming through here. Again, security takes a little bit, and we know that the President Trump will be speaking at 8:30. Now, one other person we'd like to talk about, and of course is a wonderful sponsor with Right Side Broadcasting Network, is none other than Mike Lindell. Mike, with MyPillow.com and my store, you can get a percentage off of your products by typing in RSBN as your promo code. So the products that I just saw on Mike Lindell's Truth Social page as well, I think he actually posted this today or yesterday, and it was about the flannel sheets. I'll tell you, those flannel sheets should fly off the shelves right now with how cold it is. I was talking to my camera operator earlier. He said parts of the South, it was in the teens. I had no idea that it was that cold in the South as well, as these cold fronts are all around the country right now, downright not even freezing, below freezing. And as many of you know, in Iowa the other day, I mean, the president's team, the campaign staff had to cancel a number of events, but still President Trump had a town hall meeting on Saturday night, still got in there, and then still held an event on Sunday in Indianola where you saw Brian Glenn, Christina Bobb, Catherine Cipher, and Vanessa Broussard live in Iowa. and then the next day on Monday with full coverage, that preview show, and then later at that evening, we had the live coverage of the precincts that were reporting for the caucus in Iowa, 1,700 precincts. So, you know, I found that interesting that there was 1,700 precincts in Iowa, and you think of a precinct, you think of a polling place. Well, in caucuses, it's just not that way. I mean, a precinct could be, again, a cafeteria, a library, a house, or wherever. And that's how it works with caucuses. So a primary will be here in New Hampshire, the first in the nation, on January 23rd. And then there will be the February 8th caucus in Nevada, followed by South Carolina. So off to a great start for Team Trump, but obviously it's still a long year ahead of us for the primaries and caucuses. But obviously March 5th, 16 states for Super Tuesday. That will be pretty wild to see how everything pans out for more than a dozen states across our union on who they decide and want as the commander-in-chief, but also first the primary election in the sense of who the Republican candidate will be for the Republican Party. And then I believe it's in Milwaukee this year for the Republican National Convention. The Democrats will have theirs in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention. I'll be surprised, speaking of the convention, I mean, how are they really going to pack that place out? I mean, they're going to have to go to every city and every town across this country and say, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you. Or maybe they won't. I'm just talking here. This is my opinion. It's a joke. This is not something I know, just tongue in cheek here. But it's almost like, what are they going to do when it's time for the DNC? Are they going to fly people in to Milwaukee? Let's take another live look real quick as we work on some technical issues there. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see people try and pack even the DNC. But who cares about the DNC right now? We've got the RNC convention coming up, and we'll be throwing to something here soon in Concord, New Hampshire.
Everyone, Brian Glenn from Right Side Broadcasting, and we wanted to come on here real quick and talk about Nevada. Now, we've been getting emails from viewers like you claiming they do not see Donald J. Trump's name on the Nevada primary ballot. And so a lot of people are claiming, what's going on in Nevada? Are they trying to keep him off the ballot? Are they trying to block him from being the GOP nominee? Well, we want to get all the facts. To that, we turn to Trump attorney from Save America and our own Christina Bobb joining me to talk about Nevada. And we're going to set the record straight about this meaningless primary that's in Nevada. Let's talk about that. A lot of people may not know there's a primary, but there's also a caucus. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you're perfect to say it's a meaningless primary. It is a meaningless primary, which is why Donald Trump's name is not on that ballot, as well as Ron DeSantis. If you are a Trump voter, if you want to support Donald Trump for the early state of Nevada, you must go to the caucus on February 8th. There is a primary. It is a meaningless primary that was created as a result of the leftist Democrats in the Nevada state who were embarrassed when Bernie Sanders embarrassed Joe Biden in 2020. They wanted to remove the process from a caucus into a primary, ironically, so that they could control the outcome a little bit better. That's what it looked like anyway. But the Republicans did not migrate over to a primary process. They have maintained the caucus process. All of the delegates for the Republican Party are awarded through the caucus. The candidates have to pick whether they want to be part of the caucus or whether they want to be part of the primary. So any serious candidate who actually wants to win those delegates chose to be part of the caucus, which Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis both chose to be part of the caucus, which is why their names are not on the ballot. So if you want to support Donald Trump, ignore the primary ballot. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump or actually winning the Nevada caucus, and make sure you go to your precinct to caucus for Donald Trump on February 8th.
It's interesting to note that President Trump won the Nevada caucus back in 2016. And it's all about controlling the narrative. And it's nothing more than a publicity play here, because Nikki Haley can go into the primary, win it, and of course the mainstream media will push out the narrative. There'll be social media clips that Haley dominated Nevada, further looking like she's got the momentum going into South Carolina. But by not being on the caucus where the actual delegates matter, it does show a little bit of weakness in her not willing to fight for those actual delegates, but taking the lower path of just getting the social media praise of winning the primary, which is meaningless.
You're exactly right. Democrats removed the process from a caucus process to the primary because they wanted to control the outcome. Republicans in the state rejected it. Republicans say we want it to be a caucus. We want it to be, really from the party and the voters getting together to make this decision. And Nikki Haley gave a nod to her Democrat colleagues, saying that she would play their game and play the primary game, which should be concerning for anybody concerned about election integrity, because it means she trusts the election process better than the caucus process, which any conservative these days I would think would laugh at that. That's a laughable idea. But the reason they switched it was because it's more controllable. It's easier for them to control the outcome of an election than it is a caucus. You're exactly right to say that this really is a publicity stunt. And I think it's a disinformation campaign really from Democrats. And we see a lot of disinformation coming out about this, about if you want to vote Republican, vote in the primary. And it's simply not true. The delegates are awarded in the caucus 2 days later, February 8th. The primary is February 6th. If you want to figure out where your precinct is, you can go to nv.donaldjtrump.com. It's like Nevada, nv.donaldjtrump.com. And figure out where your caucus is, where your precinct is, and make sure you show up and be part of the process.
And if you're thinking about, election integrity, very much like the Iowa caucus, the Nevada caucus does do a paper ballot. They meet in these small groups. They count the ballots right there in front of everyone. They have a total that night, typically a few hours after the close of the caucus. So it's a safe and secure way to cast your ballot. And I think that's what people learned in Iowa as we knew the results at about an hour and 30 minutes into Iowa.
That's exactly right. Imagine that. Republicans wanting paper ballots, same day counting, results displayed in front of everybody. The process is open so people can watch it. It's very transparent. Imagine that it actually works for Republicans and they don't want to change that process. If you want to be a part of the process, show up at your precinct. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. on February 8th. And get out, be a part of the process, and just help support Donald Trump.
And it's interesting to note they've been doing this since 1981. So they've been doing it for a while. But many of you that might have just moved to the state are a little confused when they got the ballot in the mail and didn't see Trump's name on it. So I think it's important that we clarify all of that right now. And rest assured, if you want to cast your vote for President Trump, you do that in the caucus on February 8th. Christine and Bob, it's always a pleasure. I can't wait to get you back out on the road and stay warm down there in South Florida right now.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
A future Trump administration in any role, but I'm focused on making sure that we are supporting him, to making sure that he is in the strongest position to win this November, which he is going to. You know he's going to win. I know he's going to win. And you know who else knows it? Joe Biden knows he's going to win.
He's looking for a VP pick.
I'm not getting into any of my conversations. I'm here today in New Hampshire to focus on thanking the volunteers, to build up the energy, and to support President Trump.
Congressman, is this about truth versus lies, straight up? This is RSBN. Is this about truth versus lies?
President Trump speaks the truth. The Democrats are lying. The Democrats are weaponizing illegally the federal government and the Department of Justice to go after Joe Biden's top political opponent. And that's why you're seeing so many Americans stand up for the rule of law, stand up for President Trump. That's why you're seeing him winning independents. That's why you're seeing Joe Biden be underwater in multiple swing states. So this is about truth. This is about the Constitution. This is about rule of law. And this is about strong America First leadership, which is President Trump at the top of the ticket.
How do you grapple with standing by his side while the jury is debating how much to award E. Jean Carroll for being sexually abused by Donald Trump?
These are witch hunts against President Trump, whether it's the bogus case from Tish James, who is a radical prosecutor. They are all witch hunts against President Trump. No, of course not. They're all
jury found that Donald Trump sexually abused her.
Witch hunts against President Trump, and the reason why is because he is polling ahead of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is the weakest candidate we've ever seen. No, I disagree. No, I don't believe that, and I support President Trump. And you know what? The media is so biased. This is just another example of the media being out of touch.
E. Jean Carroll. It's not me. It's not the media. It's a jury that found that he sexually abused E. Jean Carroll.
Again, the media is so out of touch with the American people. Like 2016, you are going to see the American people speak out loudly and clearly with their vote. We are so tired of the biased media shilling for Joe Biden every single day. And the reality is President Trump is going to win. He's going to restore rule of law, and he's going to restore respect for the Constitution in this country.
The state is more moderate. The state is seen as more moderate than Iowa. I mean, are you seeing that from interactions with voters? That this is just too socially moderate here to give Donald Trump such a lopsided victory?
Well, look at my district. I know that you used to cover my district extensively. I flipped my district, and you know who else flipped the district? My district voted for President Obama twice, and it voted for President Trump. It's very similar to the demographics of the state of New Hampshire. Winning independents, winning a significant percentage of soft Democrats who feel fundamentally left behind by today's Democrat Party. That's why I believe you're going to see, and you are seeing, such strong polling support from President Trump. So I'm excited to speak on the stage today in support of President Trump. Thank you so much for all of the questions.
Thank you. For the former president?
Well, look at Lee Zeldin's excellent showing, how close it was. Look at the 4 seats we flipped. The polling continues to be on our side in New York and moving towards Republicans. We flipped virtually every swing seat because you see in New York the result of Joe Biden's border crisis, the crime crisis in New York State. You see, again, Tish James, a radical DA going after, or a radical attorney general going after Joe Biden's top political opponent. So do I think New York is in a strong position to move towards Republican? I absolutely do. Thank you, everybody.
Well, there you go. A live press gaggle in the middle of the floor here right now as Elise Stefanik takes some photos with some supporters, media from all around the country, whether it's local or national. We saw some international as well. I did run into some people from France who are actually here for some sort of documentary. I'm not sure if they even got access into this place, but this is what you see. I mean, local and national media covering whoever is speaking when it comes to someone that obviously is an ally of President Trump. As we just kind of walk to the side here and get back to maybe interviewing some people here on the floor right now. So the Congresswoman is speaking to a couple more people, and we're allowed to stand here for just a little bit before the program starts. So the pre-program will start around 7:30, which it's past that, of course. So President Trump slated to speak at 8:30. So I'm going to go into the crowd here live on camera and do what I kind of just did there with Elise Stefanik. I got that question in. Sometimes less is more when it comes to questioning people. You don't have to have this long-winded question. You heard some of the left-wing media. It's interesting when you hear the left-wing media asking these slanted questions that are not only slanted, they are false. It's a false narrative. I almost wanted to step in for Elise right there and say, no. Did you hear what she said on CNN with Anderson Cooper? On and on and on. So, but it's not really my job to do that. But at the end of the day, op-eds are a real thing. So that's an opinion editorial. And I've really never been in a situation like that, where there's a press gaggle where you're hearing the left-wing media right there on the spot asking questions that are based in lies. That's why I asked the Congresswoman right there on the spot. I said, is this simply truth versus lies? And she had about a 2 to 3 minute answer saying, yeah, definitely. And it's all about the truth. And President Trump is standing for the truth. And that's what's great about Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is what I was talking about when there's unedited versions of what happens. This is what happens when it's wall-to-wall coverage. You see everything as it happens. And I think that's pretty cool stuff, right? I mean, it's not edited. It's not in just one soundbite. You know, the people that just did that press gaggle there, all of the local media and all of the national media that is based in the lie of the false narrative of that Trump and MAGA, which is a huge majority of this country, more than 100 million people, if not more, through this country and around the world that love freedom and love Donald Trump. They're going to go, obviously, as you know, and you can watch. Try this. We'll just do a little experiment on the fly here. Stay with RSBN through the night, right? Watch our coverage. Stick with us tomorrow for the rally with Brian Glenn will be here as well. But kind of see if you watch some of your local news or you watch national news or you go on your website or go on DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever and type in Elise Stefanik, the Congresswoman of New York, an ally of President Trump, and see what she said in this town. This is Concord. It's spelled Concord, so it looks like Concord, but it's actually Concord, New Hampshire, and see how they spin everything that she says. Or if they have any truth in there, it'll be at the bottom of the news article or barely even in there at all. That's what the left-wing media does. And it's to be honest, I'm glad that you as a viewer were able to see all of what just happened. And I put my microphone towards one of the reporters there as they were asking these slanted, ridiculous questions to just kind of give you a listen on how biased. You already know how biased, but it's actually past being biased now. This is an echo chamber of the left-wing doctrine of being anti-God, anti-Constitution, anti-Donald Trump, anti-we the people, anti-free the press, anti-the Second Amendment. Well, there you go. That was fun. Let's see if we can talk to some people here right now. Why don't you step on over? Yeah, we're live right now. That's the camera right there. What's your name again?
Maureen.
Maureen, you came up to me and said what?
What's that?
You came up to me before, and what did you say?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. I love your network. I've been to many Trump rallies. I've watched you live while I've been waiting in line, and I've watched you tonight. I think it's a great network. I think you do great pre-rally discussions and talks and interviews, and I really appreciate your coverage because I feel like with state-run media, we're not getting a lot of that. So I'm glad you're pushing out your broadcast online, different platforms, and we need that. We need more of that because I think a lot of the voter base is not seeing enough true real-time media.
What does this really do for you as an American citizen, and do you think it does for viewers when you have conservative media that is speaking truth and not trying to spin some lie? What do you think it really does for the soul of this country?
What it does for me is I feel a little bit of relief that I'm not going crazy, honestly, with, Rachel Maddow the other night was telling people the night of the Iowa caucus she wasn't going to show Trump's speech. Record win for him, record Iowa caucus win. And their network was going to decide whether or not anything warranted being told to people, to voters, to American citizens. That's state-run media. That's propaganda. I mean, that's no better than World War II, So what it does is it kind of it renews my faith in humanity a little bit, in America a little bit. I think we need more of it. I think slowly more truth is coming out, and I'm happy for that. I worry about not enough people really knowing what's going on. So more power to you. I really appreciate it. It gives us faith. Keeps us, paying attention, going out to vote. I have 3 conservative young adult children who, they're all voting and they're all really proud to be American. It's harder as a young person, though, to speak out loud about that for fear of being canceled. So, it's helps me to see a broadcast, but younger people who are more on social media, it's hard for them to find like-minded conservative voices out there. So
And that's what's great about Right Side Broadcasting Network and Truth Social. And even on X with Right Side, I mean, there are posts on there, correcting the false narratives every day of the week. So it's pretty awesome to see that. So thank you again for all your kind words. You're a patriot. We're here for you. And being a patriot is a great thing. It's simply someone that loves their country, loves God, and loves freedom.
And one more thing, our state motto is live free or die. And I have it on my license plate. I lived in Germany for years, and I saw the difference of freedom in America versus a different type of society. So I have, it's in German on my license plate, free. But I feel like more and more of our freedoms are being taken away. So it's even hard to live and by our motto with this current administration taking more and more and more freedom away from us. So we need to fight. We need to stand by our state motto. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Have a good day. Take care. Well, good stuff there with yet another citizen of the country. How you doing, man? Good to see Joel Tenney. We interviewed Joel yesterday, a pastor out of Iowa, a wife and 5 kids, traveling 17 hours. That was great that you prayed yesterday. I mean, this guy prayed with President Trump and others in Iowa. What was that like, first of all? How did you get that call? Like, oh, by the way, you're going to pray for the leader of the free world.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a shock for me. But I've got to pray for him a couple of times and get to meet him a couple of times. President Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime. Just an honor. I worked with Jackson Lane, and he got me involved in the Faith Coalition. And he's a great guy working on the campaign, very grateful for that opportunity. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the stage right now. You're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Hello, everyone. Please join me in a moment of silence for President Trump's mother-in-law, Amalia Nabt, who passed on January 9th. Our thoughts are with her family. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, bless our community for being here to support President Trump. Guide him in his decisions and responsibilities. Let us come together in unity and support to help President Trump and each other. Help us to bring people together to transform communities. Give us strength and guidance for each day as it comes. Encourage one another when we succeed and work together to produce results. For each day's problems become opportunities for each of us. Thank you, Lord, that when obstacles in our way look bigger, stronger, and more powerful than we can handle, that you will help us to stay steadfast. May we be challenged to give our best always, and let us be assured of your presence. Bless abundantly all who are present. Open our eyes to spiritual solutions and help us to make this country great. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join U.S. Army veteran Andrew Dow in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We have any veterans out there? Thank you for defending that flag. All those served, all those who have passed away. Please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
To lead us in the national anthem, Please welcome historian of the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women, Isabella Peters.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please welcome State Representative Tim McHugh.
All right. Good evening, New Hampshire. What a great way to spend a Friday night. I can think of nothing better for a bunch of patriots and lovers of the United States. We have any patriots in the house? All right. That's great. I'm glad to hear it because America's at a critical time right now. We are at war on multiple fronts. And it's time to take back our country. Like the founding fathers built it, we will take it back on the ideals of freedom and liberty. The same ideals shared by President Donald J. Trump. Together, we will, say it with me, make America great again. The last revolution started here in New Hampshire, not far from here, when the tyrants came to take the pine trees to build the Crown's Navy. Brave and courageous men like Ebenezer Mudgett from Ware stood up. They refused to lay down. We won't either. Not in New Hampshire, not in Nevada, South Carolina, Idaho, Missouri, or Michigan. This country is Trump country. New Hampshire is Trump country. Anybody know Vivek Ramaswamy? All right. He's our good friend, and he often says, this is our 1776 moment. We have to stand up for our rights, and we have to do it now. Our rights to fair elections, where you need a voter ID to vote that matches the voter file, where paper ballots are counted by humans. It's time to end the deep state and the administrative bureaucracy of Kamala Harris and creepy Joe Biden. Who saw Kamala in the last couple days? I think she actually said she was scared to be out in public. That was the last one. I'll tell you what, not much, probably nothing scares President Donald Trump. You know what scares me? It's 3 million federal government employees. That's way too many. How about like somewhere under 1 million? And we take that money and send it back where it belongs, to we the people. Nikki Haley, she wants to send it to Ukraine. Her biggest negotiation ever, I think, was taking down some flagpole down south somewhere. Speaking of other candidates, I was going to talk about that other governor. I just can't remember his name. I heard he laid off his staff, shut down some email accounts, and left town a couple days ago. So I guess he's given up. I guess he's back down. So you've all heard Nikki Haley talking about her high heels and what the fellas are going to do. Well, I'll tell you, I think her favorite shoes probably ought to be flip-flops. First she says, no taxes, no gas tax. Then she proposes a raise in the gas tax. Then she tries to pass a sales tax. First she's strong on China. Then she says, hey, China, come on over here. We got all this great land right in front of our secret military base. Help yourself. Nikki, try on some flip-flops. They might fit you better. The only person weaker on China is Sleepy Joe Biden. You all know the saying about trying to remember something. It's like riding a bike, you know. Well, poor Joe can't even ride his beach bike without falling over. That ought to tell you something about his memory. I hope he has his lifeline button for when he's fallen and he can't get up. You know, his sickness is spreading across the country. You know, it's flu season, right? It's inflation flu season, and it's caused by Bidenomics. You know what the cure for that is? Get a Republican, Trump, back in the White House. Anybody actually like paying $3 a gallon? Maybe you get more points on your credit card, but I liked it under $2 when President Trump was president. You remember how stable the world was then? Putin would not have dared cross that line. Hamas wouldn't have thought about messing with our strong ally in Israel. President Trump is loved by his friends, and he's feared by his enemies. We need that kind of strength back in the Oval Office sooner rather than later. We were possibly as close to world peace as we had ever been when he was commander-in-chief. Now, we are teetering on the brink of World War III, and there's one candidate who's going to bring us straight there to benefit the profits of her corporate puppet masters. President Trump is a formidable figure on the world stage. He projects the leadership and the hard nose we need to restore economic and political stability and protect our country first. So here's what we need to do. We've all got to commit right now, like the signers of the Declaration of Independence did, to declare on our sacred honor to get this man back in the White House for the good of the country, for this generation and the next generation and the good of the world. In the famous words of Manchester's own revolutionary General John Stark, live free or die. Death is not the greatest of evils. It's time we rock the Granite State in just 3 days. We got to get out and vote on Tuesday. And I want you to bring 47 friends. That's your gentle reminder. Let's send a message to the rest of the candidates. Let's send a message to every other candidate, the rest of the country, that New Hampshire elects presidents. And now is the time for unity in our party to unite behind President Donald J. Trump. Let's do it now, tonight, start tonight, call your friends. Thank you. God bless New Hampshire. God bless America. Have a great night.
Please welcome Merrimack County Commissioner David Lovelian Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America, how are we doing tonight? Today we gather in the heart of our great state to discuss, as a big family, the importance of supporting our president, Donald J. Trump, in the upcoming New Hampshire primary next week. President Trump's commitment to our first-in-the-nation primary status is unwavering, recognizing the vital role New Hampshire plays in shaping the national political landscape. Unlike our weak, effete embarrassment of a president, Joe Biden. I'll join you. Boo. No one likes him. No one likes him. Under President Trump's leadership, America witnessed a resurgence in job creation and economic strength. President Trump's policies were focused on bringing jobs back home, not sending them overseas, and fostering economic growth that benefited hardworking Americans, just like all of us in this room tonight. The revival of our powerful economy was a testament to President Trump's dedication to improving the lives of citizens across this country and the globe. Under the incompetent and senile Joe Biden regime, our great nation is being destroyed and sold out by globalists like Nikki Haley. Yeah, no one likes her either. You guys are fun. Crooked Joe Biden's open border policy is a warm welcome, a big welcome home to terrorists, criminals, drug dealers, and human traffickers. The degradation and destruction of the United States of America must come to an end, and the only man who can accomplish that great mission is he himself, President Donald J. Trump. One of President Trump's key priorities is ensuring the safety and security of the American people. By taking a strong stance on border protection, President Trump aimed to safeguard our nation from potential threats. President Trump's successful approach to our border sought to maintain order and prioritize the well-being of American citizens, a crucial part of any leader's responsibility. In stark contrast to the Joe Biden regime, President Trump's tenure saw a commitment to avoiding new wars. This commitment to peace and stability resonates with those who prioritize diplomatic solutions over military interventions, unlike those like Nikki Haley, who would blow up the world to make a dime. President Trump's strategic approach aimed to keep Americans out of harm's way, fostering a sense of security that Americans found reassuring. As we approach New Hampshire primary day, let us reflect on the positive major impact that our great president, Donald J. Trump, had on our state and our nation. President Trump's dedication to preserving New Hampshire's first in the nation primary status, revitalizing our economy, and ensuring the safety of all Americans sets him apart as the only candidate deserving of our vote. Yeah, it's true. In closing, in making your decision on primary day, embrace your live free or die principles that matter most to you, your family, and the future direction you envision for our great nation. Thank you all. Have a great night. Vote Trump, and together, let's make America great again. Thank you.
Please welcome United States Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
Hello, New Hampshire. Are we ready to make America great again? Are we going to have a big win in New Hampshire for President Trump? Yes, we are. Well, I am so proud to be here in the live free or die state. And I will tell you, I am used to the cold. Where I represent in upstate New York in the North Country, we have a lot in common with our Granite Staters right here today. Where I represent, it is Trump country, like right here in New Hampshire. Every election we say is the most important election of our lifetime, but this election this November, we know the fate of our great nation is at stake. We know this is the most important election of our lifetime because we have seen under Joe Biden crisis after crisis after crisis. Compare that to the incredible strong leadership of President Donald J. Trump. Let me start with the border. The border crisis, which is Joe Biden's doing, it is an absolute catastrophe. Across this country, every district is a border district. Every state is a border state. We're in a border state right here in New Hampshire. How do I know that? Because I represent a border district as well. And I will tell you, we have seen over 8 million illegal crossings plus across our southern border, but we've also seen a skyrocketing of illegals crossing across our northern border, including in the Swanton sector, which covers my district and right here in New Hampshire, over a 550% increase in illegal crossings, including individuals on the terrorist watch list. This is Joe Biden's doing. We know what works when it comes to securing our border. We know that President Trump, we had the most secure border in our nation's history. We need to build the wall. We need to end catch and release, and we need to restore the Remain in Mexico policies that worked. And we need to hold Joe Biden accountable. And it's not just the border crisis. It is an economic crisis every single day that hardworking families are facing. Hardworking families right here in New Hampshire, hardworking families in my district in upstate New York, and hardworking families across America. Because of Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer's trillions of dollars of reckless spending, we now have the highest rate of inflation, Bidenflation, in my lifetime. People are struggling to make ends meet. The economy has plummeted under Joe Biden's leadership. Compare that with President Donald J. Trump, the strongest economy we had in my lifetime. We know that President Trump's strong economic leadership works, and we need to deliver that to save our American economy this November. And I know we can count on New Hampshire to get that done. And in New Hampshire, just like my home district, I know you have so many proud veterans. Let's give them a big round of applause today. I know so many of them are here today. In the House, I was so proud to work with President Trump supporting our veterans, and I was so proud that President Trump rebuilt our nation's military. Today, what we're seeing under Joe Biden is a Department of Defense that's more focused on woke policies rather than lethality and making sure that we have the strongest military in the world. We are seeing weakness because of Joe Biden. We saw it with the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan, an unbelievable embarrassment that our adversaries were watching. We have seen war in the Middle East, our most precious ally, Israel, under attack under Joe Biden's watch. And it is because he is the weakest commander-in-chief we have ever seen. Joe Biden needs to be fired, and we need to restore American strength in the White House. We need to restore and elect Donald J. Trump as the next commander-in-chief because we know he was our strongest commander-in-chief. And let me tell you, every single day, President Trump is fighting against a corrupt and weaponized federal government. We need to save this country, to save our Constitution. Just look at this schedule that President Trump, he's here today in New Hampshire. He just won a historic win in Iowa. And yet the Democrats and the radical district attorneys, radicals from the state of New York, are doing witch hunt after witch hunt. And we know why? It's because Joe Biden's polls are at the bottom of the barrel and Democrats are fearful. They're trying to remove President Trump from the ballot illegally to suppress the will of the American people. It's Democrats who are attacking democracy. We are going to save our Constitution and save this country, and that starts with making sure that President Trump wins in New Hampshire. And I just want to comment, President Trump is on the right side of history. You in this room are on the right side of history. I was so proud to ask those university presidents a moral question about being on the right side of history. We are on the right side of history. 2 down, 1 to go. And I have been so proud to stand up for my district, for the American people in the toughest fights, whether it's holding those university presidents accountable, whether it's leading the charge against the sham impeachment part 1, holding Adam Schiff accountable, whether it's standing up for election integrity, whether it's defeating Liz Cheney to unify the Republican Party, whether it's being the first member of Congress to endorse President Trump. I know that the people are behind him. You know, and I know, and Joe Biden knows that Donald Trump is going to win this November. Let's get this done, New Hampshire. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, and God bless President Donald J. Trump. Thank you. Thanks.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all my towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble and the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.
This is a call to all my fellow Americans to stand up, fired up, and will not let up. To put your foot down and will never lay down, Americans. You're the ones this country needs. To stand up for what you believe in. To wear your pride on your sleeve. This is a call to the ones who put family above fortune and always have their neighbors six. At Pure Talk, we're a wireless company that champions American values. We'll give you a voice, along with unlimited talk, text, and data for only $20 a month. That's less than a burger and fries these days. All on the most dependable 5G network. So stand with us, a proud American company that stands up for and gives back to the people who built this country. People who stand for our flag. People who believe in working hard, not hardly working. So join your fellow Americans and call Pure Talk to get 50% off your first month. This is your calling. It's time to answer.
Hope everyone's having a great Friday night. Brian Glenn, I'm live here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Just got to my hotel room here, getting ready for tomorrow's rally. We'll get back to Matthew Alvarez, who's live there, bringing you the pre-program as we make our way into President Trump. Coming off of Iowa, I've got a couple thoughts I want to jump on here real quick. Coming off on Iowa, we saw President Trump have this historic 51 plus in some cases you would consider a commanding share of the caucus there in Iowa. And really, you knew it was going to happen, but they were obviously criticizing President Trump for even having the 51 plus majority, saying that his campaign was in trouble. So the left is starting to spin this thing any way you can look at it. But nevertheless, we make our way into New Hampshire, where it will be more of a battle, I think, for second place, and as far as battling out between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. And if you look at some of the things that they're talking about, and I spent the last day and a half really kind of consuming a lot of the mainstream media news to see what their narrative was after the caucus, and they seem to think that Haley has this momentum going into the caucus next week on the 23rd, which, by the way, we're live tonight, we're live tomorrow, and really we're live with an event all the way through Election Day. We'll have coverage, full day coverage there in New Hampshire on the 23rd. But they are really starting to push Haley for New Hampshire. Of course, you have an endorsement there by Governor Chris Sununu here, and even though Sununu is a Republican, but I learned a lot about this state, how you're not necessarily going to get a MAGA governor here in this state, because it is a very purple-ish state. So, but it's good to see that Sununu did come forward last week and say that if President Trump did get the GOP nomination, that he would ultimately support him. Since our broadcast in Iowa, we've seen Senator Ted Cruz come out and endorse President Trump. I think you're going to start to see a few others after Tuesday, assuming that you hold that percentage of a lead on the other competitors. Now, what's interesting to note is that the consumer sentiment, and that is basically how consumers feel about the economy, are they optimistic about the economy? You got a business sentiment, and you have a consumer sentiment. Consumers, according to CNN, are very optimistic on the direction of the economy. Now, granted, no matter, you may live parts of this country where gas is under $2.50, You may live in parts of the country where gas is still $4. So depending on where you live, you still have maybe a higher than average fuel cost. But when it goes to food, I'm starting to see a very consistent 17 to 18% overall increase on food. Now, if you go into the rents and you go into the energy sector, gas, things like that, you see the percentages much higher than they were under President Trump. So with that said, I started thinking about this. Is this the narrative that the left tries to spin for Joe Biden to make it seem like the American consumer has no issue with the economy right now, that they are just happy with the way it's going? Of course, you and I live in a different world where we definitely don't see that to be the case. But it does seem like a narrative that's starting to be crafted by the Biden administration in terms of trying to convince the American voter that the economy right now isn't all that bad. And you're starting to see the media push that as well. Also, I think a big thing is now they're starting to question whether or not AI, artificial intelligence, will influence or mislead the American voter in this upcoming election. Now, as soon as I saw this story, once again on CNN, I immediately started thinking about, well, this is their excuse once President Trump wins this election and beats Joe Biden. They're going to instantly say, well, the election was altered or somehow changed or influenced by AI. As we know what it was in 2016, it was Russia, Russia, Russia. I do think now this could be the next card they play as being something that it was uh, persuaded by AI. So I think that is something else that we have to really look at. And in all fairness, maybe this is something that we should look at because, we know how artificial intelligence has misled a lot of people in political videos and just videos online, thinking that they're absolutely real when it's nothing but an AI generated piece. So we'll see exactly how the two sides, the Democrats and Republicans, how they were able to control some of the false information being put out on either side. So we'll take a look at that. If we turn our attention over to Congress and the Senate, we saw that a clean CR was passed just the other night. So now we will avoid a government shutdown. But I believe 108 Republicans voted against that, and I've been really open about it. I don't want to see a budget until we close the border. I don't want to see a budget until we stop sending money to Ukraine. As simple as that. So, nevertheless, that got kicked down the road a little bit more, and we'll see. And actually, there's two deadlines for a CR. Quite honestly, under Speaker Johnson, we've had 2 CRs passed and 0 appropriations. And I will note under Speaker McCarthy, we had 7 appropriations passed and 1 CR, and a vacate the chair on that. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we turn our attention into the impeachment process on Mayorkas for the border. Now, it's gone through markup. I think it has a final markup on January 31st is a final markup on that. Then, and I anticipate a vote to pass on that. Then that gets brought to the floor, the House floor. According to my notes, they don't yet have a date where the House is going to vote on impeaching Mayorkas. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I do see it getting passed through the committee and through the markup and going ahead and push that to the floor for a vote. That's something obviously that needs to happen. I mean, the last couple of days, we've seen a standoff, if you will, between Texas and Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, and the federal government, Joe Biden, wanting to basically secure that portion, that park that they have down there. That's been a big entry point for a lot of immigrants coming through there. And so Texas has taken upon themselves to put up these barriers, these barbed wire fences to secure that area. And we've probably seen the video on that being highly criticized by many on the left. And of course, you expect Joe Biden to criticize as well. So we'll see kind of a standoff there. Now, I thought it was interesting as I was flying out of Des Moines the other night, I noticed a flight coming into Des Moines, and I was standing by the gate, and I noticed about 12 what would appear to be immigrants coming in. And I only say that because they had the same black duffel bag. They even had a clear bag with a sleeping bag rolled up inside it, and they all had paperwork, pretty much the same paperwork in their hand. Now, why in the world would anyone want to fly in and call, Des Moines home for a while in the wintertime, especially from the conditions they come from? But they are simply shipping these illegals all across the country, Des Moines being no exemption from that. So I saw that with my own eyes. I couldn't get my phone out quick enough to take some video of that, but you've all seen the video, especially in the Chicago airport. They have made these little tent cities inside the Chicago airport. And I've seen Tucker Carlson had a great piece on it the other day where he had his camera crew kind of record that. And it was, hundreds of illegals sleeping inside this open area at the airport. But this is what's happening right now in our country. And should be so alarming. And I thought about this today, and I want you guys to let me know your thoughts on this. Remember directly right after 9/11, the whole narrative was see something, say something. If you see anything suspicious, report it to authorities. If you see anything that looks like it's out of the ordinary, report it to authorities. If you think anyone is suspicious and criminal activity could be going on, report it to the authorities. Well, fast forward to 2022, 2023, and 2024. We see a lot of suspicion going on right now at the southern border. A lot of people come across the border. We have no idea who they are. Imagine if that would have been happening right after 9/11, what the narrative would have been. Think about that for a second. If what you're seeing now would have happened months after 9/11, the world would be going crazy. That border would be so shut down because we're only assuming that the people coming in want to do bad things to us. But now, fast forward, the Democrats are obviously using this open border and this conveyor belt of citizenship through illegal immigration as a playbook a page in their playbook, rather, for the upcoming election and for future elections, basically importing Democrat voters. Now, what's interesting enough, in this past year was the first time that projected U.S. birth rates was far below the amount of illegal immigrants coming in. So if you want to talk about losing the identity of a country, we're doing that right now. We're losing our identity as a nation. And of course, you go on years with the numbers that we've seen, you're going to start to see a decline in real Americans. Okay, real quick before we go, I know you've been watching the piece we put together for Nevada. Pay close attention on that because a lot of confusion. I just encourage you, if you know people that live in Nevada, tag somebody on that. Let them know that it is the caucus, not the primary, to not be alarmed if you don't see President Trump or even Ron DeSantis' name on that primary. There's no election fraud going on. As always, I'll be here in New Hampshire, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. I'm going to toss it over to the one and only Matthew Alvarez, who is out there braving those cold conditions, but he's inside. He's warm right now. Matthew, I'll kick it over to you.
Report, of course, Brian Glenn will be joining us live on the ground in Manchester tomorrow for wall-to-wall coverage of President Trump's rally. Now, a great point Brian made about the messaging earlier in his report about the Biden administration acting like the economy is doing well. That obviously is false messaging, false narrative information coming to from the left. Brian also covering a number of other topics, including the impeachment for Department of Homeland Security Mayorkas. MTG is leading the charge on that. Obviously, a very huge problem, needless to say, on the southern border. So we'll see soon how that will go for Mayorkas, who really has no answers when he's questioned, even by the left-wing media, which is interesting. So we'll see about the impeachment. And also, Brian touched again on the southern border, and he will join us once again live in Manchester tomorrow, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You're watching live coverage from Concord, New Hampshire, the state capital of the Granite State. We are 4 days away from the First in the Nation primary, as this is the third campaign stop for President Trump. Now, Elise Stefanik, as you heard earlier, was on camera, did a quick press gaggle. If you'd like to watch that a little later, you can scrub back on Rumble or YouTube or wherever you're watching, or just watch the pre-program a little bit later. And also, I can confirm that Tim Scott and Lee Zeldin of New York will be here. They're actually on Trump Force One with President Trump as he lands in the region, and will be spending a number of days in New Hampshire leading up to the First of the Nation in the Nation primary. We want to thank one of our sponsors as well here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. There's a lot of phone companies out there, obviously, but there's a few that are doing great things on the conservative side. One specifically is Pure Talk. Now, Pure Talk is doing awesome things. I also know that some of my family as well, my in-laws, actually have Pure Talk. They said, I asked before the show, I asked my wife, I said, quick, text your mom. Tell me, what does she really think about Pure Talk? And she said, quote, she loves it, with an exclamation point. That's pretty good sourcing right there, if you want to know. Let's take a live look right now as we continue to talk about Pure Talk, a great company here in the United States of America. So does social engineering from leftist corporations make you feel like we're living in the Twilight Zone? Well, you're not alone. Pure Talk, America's wireless company, knows the silent majority is fed up. So stand with the company who champions your values that always having your neighbors back, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and believing elbow grease and hard work can solve almost any problem. Pure Talk is for you. So join the masses who have fled their old wireless company for something better. Pure Talk gives you phenomenal coverage on America's most dependable 5G network. Here we go, President Trump.
Of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much. You think that's an easy trip? That's not an easy trip. We came through that cold and everything. Although I must say, 40 below zero in a place called Iowa, that's pretty cool. But the result was worth it, wasn't it, huh? And those are great people, and they are. They're just great people, and you're great people. The whole country is loaded up with great people, and they're tired of seeing the failure and the death and the destruction, and we're going to turn it around. Hello, New Hampshire. Hello very much. I love you, New Hampshire. I'm thrilled to be back in the home of first in the nation. You know who kept you first in the nation, Steve? It's Trump. But I just want to tell you, first in the nation, you're always going to be first in the nation. You know, there's another party that doesn't want you to be there. And we put you there, and I said I was going to keep you there, and we kept you there. And 4 days ago, you take a look, we won a record-setting victory in Iowa. Nobody expected that. We said, well, if we got 30 or 35, it would be good. If we get 52, 53, we had a great time. And we had a great time with a lot of friends up there. And we did a lot for the farmers. We gave them $28 billion, farmer from China. Do you think Biden worries about China? Look at my man, my great veteran friend. How are you? Okay. We've been fighting for the veterans ever since I've known you, which is at the beginning, from the first day, right? Thank you. Thank you. We did a good job for the vets, he said. And with your vote 4 days from now, we're going to win another historic victory in the great state of New Hampshire. And then we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And we're going to make America great again. So the primary is this Tuesday, January 23rd. So if you want, send a message straight to Crooked Joe and all of his thugs and frauds destroying our country. They are destroying, I mean, what they're doing on the border, what they did with Afghanistan, how they could let this happen to Ukraine with Russia. None of this stuff, inflation wouldn't have happened. The attack on Israel wouldn't have happened. None of it would have happened. It's just such a sad thing to see. But you need to get every patriot you know and get them out to vote in record numbers. We got to get record numbers. You know, when I was in Iowa last week, I'd made a lot of different stops and speeches and everything. Every time I there said, just, you know, don't believe the polls, because it had us up 40 or 50 points or something. I said, you got to get out, because margins are important, not because of the people we're running against. Nikki, I don't even talk about DeSantis. Whatever happened to him? Well, no, a poll just came out. DeSantis is at 4. What happened to this guy? One of the great self-destructions I think I've ever witnessed, Steve. What do you think? And she ain't doing too good either. She's down very low. She's down very low, but we'll finish it off. This could end it. Get the big vote, it ends it. This could end it. We end it. And then we can focus on the worst president. Then we can focus on Biden and his thugs. But any information you need, you get nh.donaldjtrump.com. They give you all the information, so you have to just get out and vote. From the very first day that we take back the White House from Biden and his people, the radical left lunatics, I call them, I believe, and they are radical left. Look what I have to go through. Whoever thought I'd run for office and I'd end up being indicted more than Alphonse Capone? Okay? Now, whoever thought? They say, oh, he's challenging the election, which I happen to be right about 100%, by the way, and everyone knows that. It was a rigged election. And for challenging an election, they indict you. These are bad people. They indict the political opponent because they have nothing else. They have the worst record probably in history. In fact, you've heard me say this, Jimmy Carter is a happy man today, you know? Because his presidency is brilliant by comparison to Biden. It's a brilliant presidency. Congratulations. Now, this is the worst. This is the worst, most dangerous, and he is a threat to democracy for a number of reasons. Number one is he's incompetent. He's a threat to American democracy. Joe Biden is a threat. Who would do weaponization? Weaponization is a threat. Using DOJ to win an election is a threat to democracy. So I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of the country. I also think that when you look at how bad the economy is in some ways, but the stock market holds up, because every time I have good poll numbers, if you take a look, the stock market's going up. The stock market thinks we're going to win. That's the only reason the stock market's up. And if something would happen, I tell you, I honestly believe you'd have a crash like in 1929. That's what I believe. The stock market is up for 2 reasons, actually. They're running on the fumes of what we did. We had the greatest economy ever in the history of this country, and they think we're going to win. And if we win, the stock market's going to go through the roof. But they think we're going to win, and I think that's why it's up. But we will quickly cut New Hampshire energy prices in half or even more. So you don't know, because you have a governor who's, honestly, he's terrible. This guy, I watch him. He's all over the place. You know, he ran for president. You know that. He didn't announce it because he didn't have the guts, right? But he ran for president, and he didn't exactly, his numbers were in the vicinity of Asa Hutchinson. No, they were so bad. And instead of announcing, like you're supposed to do, you're supposed to run, you announce you're running, and if you do well, great. If you don't do well, that's fine too. What are you going to do, right? But he went around, he was on every show. This guy, he thinks he's hot stuff. He's nothing. He's nothing. Now, sometimes I say things about people where you can never bring it back. That's okay with me, Chris, because this guy is bad news. This guy is bad news for the country. I don't want to bring it back. I never want to have it back. I'll take good care of New Hampshire. I always have. You don't need this guy. This guy is bad. He's bad. He's bad. But he ran for president. He ran for president. He went crazy. He's on every show. I said, the only thing I respected, I didn't know how he could get from one studio to, I've never seen anything like it. And you know what? He ran so much that people realized they don't like him very much. It was crazy. And then he decided not to run. But that's all he was doing. And now he's backing a woman that I know very well, a woman that is not capable of doing this job. I know her very well. She's not tough enough. She's not smart enough. And she wasn't respected enough. She cannot do this job. She's not going to be able to deal with President Xi. She's not going to be able to deal with Putin and Kim Jong-un and all of the people they're very fine people you have to deal with. And she will not be able to do the job. And we have to tell her to leave Social Security a lot because she wants to wipe out your Social Security. We're not going to let that happen. So the next Trump economic boom will begin exactly on November 5th, 2024. Right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No, I think we're going to have, again, in Iowa, we had such a result, and a lot of people said, you can't get more than 40. You can't. And all of a sudden, these numbers came in. In fact, it was a little embarrassing. I had to go at the very beginning, 7 o'clock, right at the beginning. It opens at 7, and I heard the results come out at 10. So I get up and made a little speech to in that case, the caucus goers, and I made a speech, a nice little speech, lasted for about 2 minutes. And I walk off the stage, it's like 10 after 7, something like that. Sir, congratulations, you've won. I said, I've won what? I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Al, I said, what did I win? And they said, you won the caucus, the Iowa caucus. I said, what time is it? I said, those must be very good numbers. And it's interesting. So Ron DeSanctimonious, he was very upset because he hadn't gone on to make his speech. So he's getting ready. He's going to speak in 10 minutes to all of his people to get them all geared up. And they say, Donald Trump has won Iowa. And he was rightfully a little bit upset. It's hard to go up and make an inspirational speech when you know you lost, right? I don't know what he did. Did anybody follow what he did after that? But we're going to bring America together through unprecedented success. That's what happens. Success will bring our country together because our country is a mess right now. And success She said, forget success, you'll bring it together. Who is that? Oh, there, no, look. Front row Joes we have here, front row Joe. That's so cute. These are great people. They've come to like 190 rallies. And I have the young ladies from North Carolina. Oh, look at them. So they're at about 100. These beautiful women from North Carolina. Their husbands can't be thrilled. Every time I do a rally. And these aren't even rallies. These are little get-togethers with a lot of people and a lot of people outside that couldn't get in. Would anybody like to give up their spot? Well, you are from a certain part of the world, New Hampshire. There's no way you would give up your spot. Do you know how well you fought? I was reading something on the Civil War. They said the people from New Hampshire were very tough fighters. Did you know that? History. The people from New Hampshire were very tough fighters. You won a lot of battles. That was a nasty war. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. That's like 118 times. But I think the front row Joes have you beat. I think they have you beat. Over 4 incredible years under my leadership, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. There was never anything like it, with record low unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, veterans, young people, old people, men, women, everybody. People with diplomas from the great Wharton School of Finance, like me. People with diplomas that don't have diplomas. People with no high school diploma. Everybody, every single group had the best numbers, and this country was coming together, and nobody believed how it was. We had gasoline prices at $1.87 a gallon when there was no inflation. There was no inflation. But now under Biden, the most corrupt president, the worst president. I never used to talk this way about him. I'd joke, I'd fight, but I never. But once I got indicted, I said, oh, this guy is really a bad guy. So now I say it like it is. He's grossly incompetent. He's the most incompetent president and the most corrupt president we've ever had. Because once they do the indictment stuff, and once they do that, I got indicted 4 times. Remember, Al Capone didn't come close to that. That was the one thing. When I fly over a blue state, 2 days later, I get a subpoena. And we're doing fine. I got a lot of lawyers, and we're doing good. We really are. We're actually doing very well. And it's very interesting. We're leading by a lot. We're leading by numbers that nobody's ever seen. In Iowa, we broke the record by double. And there is a theory out there. I actually believe we would have been leading by a lot, but we wouldn't be leading by this kind of number. Had they left us alone, had they just left us alone, I'd be leading, but not by the kind of numbers that we're seeing, where we set a record that nobody's ever thought was even possible. And the funny thing, if they would have played straight, they're not. And that includes the fake news, because the fake news is terrible. But if they would have played straight, just think about this, because I've never said this before. I was just thinking as I'm standing up here, because unlike this other guy, I can think from the stage. He can't. But if they would have, he can't find his way off the stage. But if they would have played straight, just think of it. I'd now be getting ready to leave government. And now they've got me for 4 more years. Look what they've done to them. I just thought of that. So you all can come, you people back there from North Carolina, you can come and watch for another 4 years of this stuff. But isn't that great? I'm just thinking, we'd be just about wrapping it up. I'm just saying we had a great, but here's the advantage. We wouldn't have Russia attacking Ukraine. We wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have the attack on Israel. Kim Jong-un of North Korea wouldn't be threatening us with the nuclear missiles again. China wouldn't be even thinking about Taiwan. We would have the greatest economy ever, and we wouldn't have had inflation. Other than that, I'd say it's about even, okay? But none of these things would have happened. Inflation was caused by stupid energy policies, and none of this stuff would have happened. So It's really sad, but we're going to do something. And I guess, and mortgage rates hit an all-time high, and with me, they hit an all-time low. That's a pretty big difference. We had the lowest mortgage rates ever recorded, and they have among the worst, right? So, no, we could go over plenty more too, if you want to know. And now under Biden, everybody is poorer. The typical family has lost over $7,500 a year thanks to Crooked Joe's inflation. Inflation is a country buster. It busts up countries. Germany years ago, any country where it has, sit down, so they see in the back. That's okay. You'll be standing up in about 2 seconds. It's always nice when you say sit down and then about 12 seconds later, the whole place is standing up. No, that's an honor. I mean, it really is. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's like when I endorse people, they win. Almost 99%, they win when we endorse. And I consider that like a great honor. I don't think it's just this whole thing. Make America Great Again. It's the greatest movement in the history of our country by far. It's just amazing. MAGA. Joe Biden, oh, that MAGA, we got to stop that MAGA, they're bad people. I say, what does MAGA mean? I don't know what it means. What exactly? It means make America great again. That's all it means. It's very simple. Very simple to understand that, Joe. Under Trump, everybody was richer. The typical family saw their income grow $6,000 a year plus. We passed the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history. We did regulation cuts that were the largest, but we did tax cuts that were substantially larger. Thank you. We were substantially larger than Ronald Reagan. That's pretty good, right? Substantially, and he did good, but we did even better. And we created over 8,000 opportunity zones. There's a senator named Tim Scott. I don't know. I'd love to get him up here tonight, but I don't know if I'll be able to get him. He's always working in Washington, D.C., but he came to see me, and he had this idea for opportunity zones. And it's bringing in now tens of billions of dollars, no investment. The country doesn't have to do anything. It just gives incentives to people to work in areas that would have been gone right now. And it's one of the most successful economic development situations that we've ever gotten involved in. And Tim Scott is the one that came to see me about it. And I'm really thrilled to know that he may even be able to, we're going to try and get him. What would I love to get him to endorse me, right? Do you think we could get him? But he's a man of faith and courage and conviction, a man who fought for those opportunity zones like nobody would ever fight, and school choice, and also taking care of the historically black. And you take a look at this, the colleges and universities, I took care of them. Every year, presidents from different black, small colleges, large colleges, they'd converge 50 or 60 people. And I got to see them every couple of years. I'd say, but in like clockwork every year. And I got to know them a little bit. And I said, fellas, let me ask you a question. Why do you keep coming here? He said, because they don't give us the money and we need money. And it wasn't huge amounts compared to what you would think. And they're great people. I got to know them very well. And they were just coming. He said, one of them said, we feel like beggars having to come back here to Washington to ask for money to keep our colleges going. And other colleges, they have so much. Look at Harvard. Look at some of these guys. They have billions and billions of dollars. Well, that's another one. Did this young lady named Elise, did you see that? Young lady named Elise Stefanak. That was such a beautiful delivery. Did she destroy those three people? But it's going to bring our country back. We're going to bring it back stronger than ever before. But we did all these things. But I said to the college presidents, I said, fellas, I'm going to get you long-term financing, and I'm going to get you more than you asked for. And they sort of didn't believe, because they've been doing this for 25, 30 years. Every year they come up and they ask for money for their colleges. And I got them more money than they wanted, more money than they asked for. I sat down with them. I said, you need more money than that? And they're doing a great job. I said, the only thing bad, I got them 10-year financing. They don't have to come back to Washington. I said, the only thing bad about it is I'll probably never see you again. but I took care of the colleges and they take care of incredible numbers of great black students, and they do a fantastic job. And I was very honored. Nobody ever writes that stuff, so I talk about it myself a little bit because I feel I have to. But maybe that's why we have the best numbers with African Americans, best poll numbers that anybody's seen in many, many decades, right? Many, many decades. They had a poll today, 28%. Now, 28% normally wouldn't sound too good, but when a Mitt Romney, this kind of a character, he is not their kind of guy, I can tell you. But Mitt Romney's at 4. 28 is very good, right? No, 28 is very good. I'd like to see a lot higher than that. They shouldn't be going with the Democrats. The Democrats have been terrible to them, frankly. But we're starting to find that out. But we had a fantastic poll. Hispanic, likewise. Hispanic, we're over 50% in a lot of polls. In fact, the Democrats are cratering because you take those two numbers, if we're at 28 or anywhere near it, and we're at 50% with Hispanic, and the poll shows we're higher, just cancel the election. Just say Trump wins automatically, because that's a whole... Now they're going to say, see, now when I say that, you know, we have fun, we're laughing and kidding, but when I say that, he's a fascist. He announced tonight he wants to cancel the election. They actually had, you know, when I imitate Biden, he can't find his way off a stage. He can't put two sentences together, right? Can't put two sentences together. Here's a teleprompter. He doesn't know where the hell the teleprompter's there. And the nice part about me, I only use the teleprompter. They average, I think they say it averages about 9%. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a guy that didn't really need the teleprompter? Isn't that nice, though? Isn't that nice? But, you know, the dangerous thing I have, Al and Steve, is when I joke a little bit. You know, we got to joke. The country's in such trouble. If you don't have a sense of humor, we'd never get by. But you got to sort of make a little bit of fun. And I sort of imitate his speaking, and I go, bye-bye. He has no idea where the hell he is, right? Or I'll show him where he can't find the stairs. Now, we have a stair there, we have a stair there, we have one here, we have one here. They're all over the place. And he can never find this. I think Secret Service does. You always have this young, handsome guy run onto the stage, grab his arm, and pretend like it's normal to be doing that, right? But the biggest thing is when I do it, they sometimes put me on and they say Trump couldn't find his way off the stage because they are the most dishonest people on earth, other than guys like Adam Schiff and, you know, Shifty Pencil Neck. Pencil Neck. He's a marvel. No, he's a structural marvel. He has a neck, and his head is like a watermelon, and his neck. And how that neck can hold up that big, oversized, ugly head is hard to believe. No, it's true. It's true. Big head. It's like your finger on a basketball. Some of these guys, they spin it. No, he's a terrible guy. Think of it. Think of this, Chef. So they make up the Russia hoax. It's a, you know, and by this time it was found out, and blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows it's a hoax, a scam. And, you know, it was originally used as a one-day deal to show that Hillary Clinton lost because of Russia, because they were embarrassed, because they weren't supposed to lose, but they lost. And so they made up this that it was Russia. I said, Russia? What the hell did Russia have to do with it? And I meant that. So then it got carried away. It ended up being 2.5 years because it got picked up by the fake news. They knew it was a scam. Got picked up by but think of it. Adam Schiff made it up, along with Hillary Clinton and some others, DNC, Democrats, and they made up this scam, dangerous scam, very dangerous. Amazing that, you know, fortunately I knew Putin very well, and we had a little bit of a relationship going. He couldn't believe, he said, what the hell is going on with your country? They make up this scam, and then he comes out of a room. So he knows it's made up, and he has a news conference with a lot of press, and I'm watching this, and he goes, Donald Trump Jr. will go to prison because of what he did with Russia. Now, talking about my son is going to go to prison because of something they know is a total hoax. It's not like they believed it was maybe true. They knew it was because they made it up. It was a scam. It was written. No, think of it. And he's saying, think of it, you have a son. And I called up my son. I said, are you okay? He says, yeah, I don't know anything about Russia. What's going on? He knew nothing about Russia. This guy in the fourth row right here, he knows more about Russia than my son knew. But think how bad you have to be as a person to do that. So he's got a scam. They know it's a scam. It's a made-up story to try and justify why she lost, okay? She lost because she had no personality. She lost for a lot of reasons. No, they said she's, well, that too. I would say this. She's evil. That's interesting. But what kind of a human being would say we're going to put somebody in prison because of something that we made up that we know is a phony thing? Bad people, right, Steve? Bad people, you know? They're bad people. But tonight I'm truly honored to bring a man on stage, and I've known him for a long time, and we just happened to get lucky. I talked about opportunity zones. I said, I wonder if we could get him in from Washington. He travels very quickly because he does happen to be with us, and he gave me a tremendous endorsement 2 days ago, and he's going to say a few words to you, and he's a highly respected gentleman, and he's a wonderful friend. And remember, he's, I'm running against somebody from his state, so it's not that easy to do. I mean, she is running from the state of South Carolina, which, by the way, where I'm leading her by over 50 points, so I don't know what the hell kind of a job she did, but in South Carolina. But he's a senator from South Carolina. He's a fantastic man, Tim Scott.
Hello, New Hampshire! Oh, yeah. Let me see. Is this Donald Trump country? Oh, yeah. Let's see. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You know, we love you, Coach. Thank you. Let me say, we need a president who will close our southern border today. We need Donald Trump. We need a president. We need a president who will unite our country. We need Donald Trump. We need a president who will protect your Social Security and my mama's Social Security. We need Donald Trump. We need a president today who will stop the crime and recklessness in the streets. We need a president who will restore law and order. We need Donald Trump. Oh, we need a president who will lower our taxes and not raise our taxes. We need a president like Donald Trump. We need a president who understands the American people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We need a president our foreign adversaries are afraid of and our allies respect. We need a president who doesn't see black or white. We see a president who sees Americans as one American family. We need. And that's why I came to the very warm state of New Hampshire to endorse the next president of these United States, President Donald Trump.
Thank you, Tim. That's great. Very, very good man and a very respected man. And I appreciate that he came all the way over. You know, you could just put it out over truth. We got to go with truth. It's the best. But we put it out, and just a respected guy, and having his endorsement means a lot. We have tremendous numbers of endorsements. They're pouring in right now. But having Tim is very important. So now is the time, and you see that through what was just said, for the Republican Party to unify. We have to unify. We have to go after these crazy people that we're dealing with. Instead of wasting hundreds of millions of dollars attacking Trump and others, we need to come together and focus all our energy and resources in defeating crooked Joe Biden, our worst president. It's the worst president. Sadly, not everyone is willing to put our country first. We have to put America first. Here in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley has made an unholy alliance with rhinos, never Trumpers, Americans for No Prosperity. Did you ever hear of Americans for No Prosperity? Globalists and radical left communists to get liberals and Biden supporters to vote for her in the Republican primary, because that's what they do. They questioned me about that today. They said, oh, Democrats don't vote. They already signed up almost 5,000 Democrats to vote. That's your governor's fault. He could have ended that very easily, but he doesn't do the job. Maybe he's got something else in mind. I think he's lazy, actually. You want to know the truth? In Iowa, nearly 50% of Haley's voters said they were voting for Biden in November. So the people that voted for her, and think of it, 50% said they're going to vote for Biden in November. And now the leftists are spending millions and millions of dollars to flood your airways with Nikki propaganda. It's Nikki propaganda. And she's not going to do the job. I can tell you, I had plenty of experience with her. She's fine. She's okay. She's not bad. But she's not going to do the job. All you need to know about Nikki Haley is that every corrupt and sinister group we've been fighting for the past 7 years is on her side. They're all putting up America First patriots. They're all people that are fighting our America First movement and our patriots. And we can't take a chance. Our country is so far behind. We had a great country 3 years ago. Now we have a country that's in terrible distress like never before. The people behind Nikki Haley are pro-amnesty, they're pro-China, they're pro-open borders, they're pro-war, pro-deep state, and they're actually effectively pro-Biden. He's the only one that doesn't know it, actually, if you want to know. Our movement is pro-borders, pro-jobs, pro-freedom, and pro-America. Pro-America, it's very simple. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki Haley for one reason, because she's easy to beat. If you take a look at the poll, she's the easiest one to beat. Of the whole group, she's the easiest one to beat. And they want her. What did he say? No, she's a bird brain. That was very interesting. Thank you very much. Take it easy. Thank you very much. No, honestly, there is. There's a lot of energy in this room, and there is because we want to take our country back. We want to make our country great again. But here are some of Nikki Haley and Ron DeSanctimonious' toxic positions that make them totally unelectable. They're unelectable. Nikki Haley said she wants to raise the retirement age to match life expectancy, which means that she wants to work you're supposed to work your entire life. Every day I'm going to work my ass off, right? And then you die. That's life expectancy. And so much for Social Security. You know, you have the right to it. You paid for it. Likewise, DeSantis voted 3 times to raise the age to 70. And, you know, DeSantis is a fan, and so is Nikki. They supported a terrible, really a rhino. He's hurt Fox very badly, sadly. He's hurt Fox, but he's also hurt the New York Post. He's hurt the Wall Street Journal. He's a rhino, Paul Ryan. And he had the 2011 plan to destroy Medicare. Remember the same plan that led Democrat ads showing Republicans wheeling Granny off the cliff. Remember Granny? That was not a good ad for the Republicans. And he had a chance. He ran and he lost. We ran and we won. We won twice, by the way, in case you have any questions. And we did much better the second time. We did much better the second time, and this time we're going to blow it apart because I'll tell you what, there's more excitement. We did great in 2016. It was shocking to people. It wasn't shocking to me because we'd go to rallies where we'd have 45, 50,000 people all the time. And she'd wheel in and, she couldn't get 10 people in an audience. And I said, why is she favored? There's a lot of bad things going on with these elections. We have to have safe borders and safe and free and fair elections, or we're not going to have a country. And we have to do it, and we have to do it. And by the way, on elections, we have to go paper ballots, same day, and we have to have voter identification, voter ID. You have to see them. I've been in the room. All right, so let's go. We want to put in voter ID. Just as a little point, you negotiate. All right, we want to get for our elections voter ID. No way we're going to get it. I mean, the whole room goes crazy. Now, there's only one reason for that, because they want to cheat. Because when you have open borders, high taxes, bad education, a woke military, and it's not woke down here, it's only woke with those few people up top that really have no clue. I see they're starting another war. The same people that ran Afghanistan are going to run. We got a Secretary of Defense who's running the war. They say he's laying in a hospital bed. His laptop is on his chest, like a child would do, I don't want to say, he doesn't fire. I got accused of firing a lot of people. He doesn't fire anybody. Wouldn't you think that the people that did the Afghanistan disaster were in charge of it, where they moved the military out first, where they gave $85 billion worth of equipment, best equipment anywhere in the world? I bought it. I rebuilt the entire military. I bought it, and they gave it to the Taliban. Do you know that Afghanistan is one of now the top 2 or 3 leading sellers of military equipment anywhere in the world, because they don't need 700,000 rifles. 700,000, Al, rifles and guns. They don't need 70,000 vehicles, many of them armor-plated. Boy, somebody was a good buyer. Can you imagine? We didn't need it either to win. I wiped out ISIS, and we did it rapidly. It was supposed to take 5 years. I did it in 4 or 5 weeks. And we didn't have to get a lot of new equipment. We just wiped out ISIS. But incredibly, Nikki is defending her planned cuts for Social Security and Medicare. She wants to mess around with Social Security and Medicare. You don't deserve it, especially senior citizens. You don't deserve it, and we're not going to let it happen. Perhaps worst of all, Nikki Haley is backed by the deep state and the military-industrial complex. She's never seen a war she doesn't like. She's never seen a war she doesn't like, because they know she's a globalist fool. These globalists are fools. We want to help the globe if possible. We got to help ourselves first. Our country is in horrible distress because they know she's a globalist and can be easily manipulated to obtain and send hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. And I want to help Ukraine too, but here's the problem. Europe, which is approximately our size as an economy when you add up all the countries, and I got them to play, they're not in love with me. I got them to do things that nobody thought possible, including NATO. Not even talking about NATO, but including NATO. We had many countries that weren't paying anything for NATO, and we were footing the bill. I figured that one out in about two meetings. By the end of the first meeting, I said, this is a real mess over here. I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars into NATO. They weren't paying for years. And I'll never forget, the leader of one of the 28 countries at the time stood up and said, does that mean if we're not paid up, you're not going to protect us? I said, that's exactly what it means. And the following day, billions and billions of dollars came pouring in. But the problem I have with Ukraine is that we put up, and it's a horrible city. Look, the problem I have is it should have never happened. Those cities are demolished, those people, and the numbers are much greater than what you're hearing about. When they knocked down some of those buildings, those are major buildings, shockingly big buildings. That's what I used to do. And when they knock down those buildings, you have a lot of people living in those buildings. And the numbers are going to be far greater when you see the end. And those cities are being obliterated. Those domes, those golden, beautiful, ancient domes, and all of the architecture, it's all obliterated. It should have never happened. Nobody should have been killed. Zero chance Putin would have done it with me there. He wouldn't have done it. I talked to him. I used to talk to him. It was the apple of his eye, but he was never going to do it because I told him what we would do to them. and he would have never done it. Also, he did it because of oil prices. Biden drove up oil so high that he had so much money. You know, Putin made a lot of money on this thing because when you get it over $100 a barrel, I had it at $35 and $40 a barrel. At 35 and 40, you survive. At 100, you become rich as hell. Same thing if you look at the current version is Iran. Iran was broke with me. I told China and every other country, if you buy oil from Iran, you're not doing any more business with the United States. It's over. In addition, any business that comes through, we're putting a 100% tariff on it. And President Xi said, like I said, I won't be buying oil from Iran. So I saw it the other day. It was actually a Democrat congressman on one, I think it was Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Deface the Nation. But they had a Democrat, I think, congressman, and he said, whether you like it or not, Trump had them broke. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah or any of the other 28 or 30 groups of terror, because they're groups of terror. That's what they do. But they had no money. If you remember back 3 years ago, they had no money. We would have had a deal had the election not been rigged. We would have had a deal within the first week or two with Iran, and they wouldn't have had a nuclear weapon. Now they're 31 days away from having a nuclear weapon. 31 days away. You think they're tough? You think they're tough right now to negotiate with when they have a nuclear weapon? It's a terrible. They're 31 days away, and I ended the Iran nuclear deal, which was ready to expire, and it was one of the worst deals ever. And you take a look at what's happening. None of this stuff would have happened. None of it. You'd have millions of people living right now that are dead. You'd have cities that would be beautiful, glowing cities, ancient cities, and they're all in rubble. All because of a crooked, rigged election, and we have people afraid to do something. They go and they search for the people that are complaining about the election. They don't search for the people that rigged the election. And we know who they are. We have it all. So we can't let that happen. If you want losing candidates who put America last, look, you have people that put America last. And Nikki is somebody that puts America last. I used to watch her when we were dealing with different countries like Russia or China. And she was sitting there like, what the hell? I put her in the room, you know. Look, one of the reasons I did, because I happen to love the Lieutenant Governor, Henry McMaster, South Carolina, great. I said, by moving her someplace, Henry McMaster becomes governor of South Carolina. And by the way, he's been a fantastic governor. Henry's been a fantastic governor. So I did him a favor. He was with me all the way. I did him a favor, but I did it because he's good. And he's been very popular, but put her over there. And like I said, she was okay, but she was not presidential timber. Now, when I say that, that probably means that she's not going to be chosen as the vice president. Do you agree? You know, you can go. No, you can go and you can say certain things, you know, I don't like them and blah, 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 and this. But when you say certain things, it sort of takes them out of play, right? I can't say she's not of the timber to be a vice, and then say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that I've picked. Do you understand? But that's the way it is, okay? Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is, right, Steve? If you want a president who puts America first, you're going to have to vote for Donald J. Trump. That's what it is. Joe Biden and his thugs know that we are the only ones who can stop them. They know it. And that's why they're weaponizing law enforcement, using the DOJ, using the FBI. They're a disgrace. That's a third world country stuff that they're doing. This only takes place in third world countries, never taken place anywhere near. There's never been anything like this. And they'll go after others too. And I tell the Republicans are nicer people, that's all. They happen to play nicer. And, you know, normally that's okay. But I tell the Republicans, you guys have to get tougher. You're going to have to get tougher. And by the way, because they came at me before I even won the election, they were coming at me. with the Russia hoax and all the other hoaxes and scams. They made it up. It was all made up stuff. They're sick. But if you think that Ron DeSanctimonious becomes president or Nikki becomes president, if you think that they become, I'm trying not to use that name because that name's a little rough, I think, but if you think that Nikki becomes president, if you think that they don't go after her, Steve, they go after her so viciously and she would be out of it so fast. She's not going to fight like we fight. We fight. And we have done. Look, we had four of the greatest. That was one of the greatest administrations. I heard a reasonably neutral historian what we've accomplished. Even right to try, medically, right to try. If you're terminally ill, you want to get we have the greatest doctors, scientists, drug companies, a lot of different things that go into it. But we have the greatest doctors in the world here and the most advanced medicines. And if you were terminally ill and they had something that looked like it could work, you couldn't use it. And they've been trying to do this for over 60 years, get the right. And they would say, well, if we injure them, they're terminally ill, I'd say. If we injure, we may get sued. So I devised a document. The drug company sued. They signed because the drug companies didn't want to show bad results. So they were afraid to show bad results. I got them. We said, we're not going to show those results. We're going to put it on a different chart. We got everybody. The insurance companies signed. We got the country. So we got everybody. And a person now goes in, signs that they're not going to hold anybody liable. They just want to get better. And we're using these unbelievably sophisticated drugs that won't be approved for 4 or 5 years. And thousands of people are being saved. And it turned out to be the opposite. Because a lot of these companies didn't want to have bad results where they're working with people that are terminally ill. And it's actually making people that are terminally ill better. But I mean, that's one thing. That's a big deal because they've been trying to get it for so many years. I never understood it why, but it's complicated. A lot of reasons why, but you would think you would get that done very easily, but it wasn't. But we did many, many things. But all these people want to do is election interference. They're trying to interfere with the election. They're indicting you so you look bad. But in this case, at least so far, and I hope it continues that way, I get out and I have a big voice and I explain to people what hoaxes they are, what scams they are. And the public basically votes on that. And by like 88 or 89%, they said, this is all political stuff. It's a dirty game they play. And they have to understand that works two ways, because when it's the other team's time, they can do the same thing. And we don't want to do the same thing because it's so bad for our country. It's so bad and so dangerous for our country. What they're doing by weaponization and DOJ and FBI, they raided my house, Mar-a-Lago. It's a quiet little place. It's small, quaint. No, think of it. They raided my house. Ex-president of the United States, former president, 45th, think of it. 45th president of the United States, hopefully soon to be 47. And think of it. And you have guys walking into your house with guns, carrying guns. It's disgusting, honestly. It's also in violation of the Fourth Amendment. But they don't care about Fourth Amendment because they really are a threat to democracy. Joe Biden is a threat. You know, their whole campaign is, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. No. I'm the one that kept our country safe. I'm the one that got us out of all these wars. I'm the one that defeated ISIS. I'm the one that gave us the strongest border in history. And now we have the worst border in history. And with all of it, and everything I just said, if I weren't running or if I was doing poorly, like almost everyone else is doing poorly, they're all getting killed, every single one of them. We're down to 2 or 3. Ada Hutchinson just dropped out. Nobody even knows it. He was down. He was at 0 for like a year. And then I thought he was doing well because about 3 months ago, he actually went up to 1. But the following month, he dropped back down. And he had 1 month where he was 0 with an arrow pointing left. That means he's less than 0. And I say, how is that? Well, that's probably phony votes that weren't counted, you know? But if I weren't involved in this, if I were home, boy, look at all the people back there. You got a lot of people. This is supposed to be a quaint little area. This is not quaint at all. They're rough people. This is not quaint. Wow. You know, when she comes here, she gets like 9 people. And the press never reports the crowds, you know. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down. They don't want to talk about that. These are very dishonest people. But when I look over here, I'm so honored. They said, this is a quaint area, beautiful area of the state, but it's quaint. We got a lot of people in this room. This is an all-time record. But this is only happening because I happen to be leading in the polls. And if I weren't leading in the polls, or if I weren't running, none of this, I wouldn't have any indictments. I wouldn't have anything. They'd say, they'd be doing it to somebody else who was in this position because they've developed a sickness. But as an example, the Redfield-Wilton poll just came out a couple of hours ago. It's Trump at 72%. Well, think of this. Think of this. This is a very... No, but look, it's called Redfield-Wilton, very respected poll, highly respected poll, highly rated. They rate polls too, they rate everything. But highly respected. Trump 72, Haley 9, DeSanctimonious 9. So I'm at 72, they're at 9-9. In Nevada, we are polling at approximately 100%. You know why? They all dropped out of the race because they say they can't beat him in Nevada, so they dropped out. They don't want to spend their money there. So that's, and by the way, a lot of people don't realize it. That's next week. In other words, we go to South Carolina after Nevada. Nevada comes first, then we go to South Carolina. And South Carolina, very respected pollster, he's probably here someplace, Tony Fabrizio, just came out with a poll a little while ago. Trump at 64%, Haley at 25%, and Ron DeSantis at 8%. And a poll from New Hampshire, and I don't like saying this because you'll say, oh, let's sit home and watch it, Alice. We don't have to go out. The president's going to win. You can't do that. But I'll give you the number anyway, because I only give you good polls. I don't tell you about bad polls, okay? I never do. And in New Hampshire, just came out, I'm given a 93% chance of winning. Here. So we're at 93% chance. Nikki Haley is at 7%. Now, this is one I don't understand. And Ron DeSanctimonious is at -1. Now, what does -1 mean? That means he's less than 0. Is that what it means? How can you be from North Carolina over there? All you great people, this North Carolina, these people are incredible. How can somebody be -1? Does anyone know that? Because Ron... That means they're really bad. But we're leading in New Hampshire, but we just don't want you to take anything for granted. This is what I spent all last week saying. I sort of don't take it, because we want to win by big margins. We don't want to just win. We want to win by big margins. And I think that all of that verbiage, I think it got people to go out and vote instead of sitting home. And you know, they had seriously cold weather. They had record-setting cold weather when you have 30, 40 degrees below zero. That's even cold for your standards, Steve, right? That's seriously cold. But we're also dominating crooked Joe Biden in the general election. We're up 10 points over Biden in the New Harris poll, while Haley is getting crushed. She's getting crushed. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we're not going to let them rig we are not going to let them rig this election. We're not letting them rig the presidential election of 2024, are we? A rigged election. You got to have borders. You got to have borders, and you got to have fair elections. Otherwise, you don't have a country. You got to have both. And we had the greatest border in the history of our country, and within a very short period of time, we had things called like remain in Mexico. How's that? Good? You don't have to know too much. Remain in Mexico, and they remained in Mexico. Mexico said, no way. And I said, way, they're gonna stay right. And we got everything we wanted. People said, there's no way you can negotiate with Mexico. They're tough, they're good negotiators, but I was able to get everything we wanted, and quickly. You know how I got it too. And I have a very good relationship, by the way, with the president of Mexico. But he sent a representative over. I said, listen, I want a couple of things. I want 28,000 soldiers immediately free of charge to protect our border. He goes, we're not giving you 28,000. Yes, you are. Oh, 100%, 100%. He goes, we're not giving you 28,000 soldiers, sir. This is a nice guy, handsome guy, tall, beautiful looking guy. He comes in, we're not going to give that to you, sir. He was a representative of the president, who's terrific, by the way. But I said, no, you're going to give it to us. 100% you're going to give it to us. No, we're not. Okay, you're giving it to us. And he looked at me like, what the hell's going on? This is the weirdest thing I've ever done. Then I said, we also want to remain in Mexico. In other words, everybody coming up is going to stay in Mexico. They're not coming in. No, sir, we're not going to do that. We can't handle that. You got to see Tijuana, by the way. Well, now it's empty because of this guy. He let everybody come in. You had to see Tijuana 3 years ago, right, Al? I mean, there were more people than any place probably on earth. And they were all over there because we wouldn't let anybody in unless we vetted them carefully. And we had the best policy on drugs. We had the lowest drug numbers coming in. Now, you're never going to solve the drug problem until you go with the death penalty. But, I hate to say that. No, it's true. It's true. I say it. I don't know if this country's ready for it. Remember this. Every drug dealer, on average, kills 500 people during their lifetime. Every drug. And you have, for whatever reason, I think your governor sucks, you know? I do. I really do. I think he's terrible. But listen, you have, for whatever reason, I believe the worst drug problem per capita anywhere in the United States. I don't know what it is. Whenever I come here and I meet with your fire department, I meet with your police department, they are so unbelievable, the job they do. But they spend most of their time helping people that have overdosed, and some pretty good stuff. They do a great job. I'll tell you, your firemen, your policemen do an unbelievable job. For whatever reason, and we're going to give police and fire, and fire too, by the way, but we're going to give police and fire, but we're going to give our policemen total immunity. If they stop a crime, they're not going to be arrested and destroyed and their house taken away and their family taken away. We're going to give total immunity, and we're going to stop crime in this country. We're going to stop. I have a building at 40 Wall Street. It's a great building, skyscraper, and I have a tenant, a big drug chain is on the bottom of it. And I was there the other day giving a news conference on a fake trial that I'm in. I have all these fake trials. But I'm using the lobby because it's right near the courthouse. Beautiful lobby, beautiful. And I said, what happened to that tenant? Sir, they couldn't survive. Now, we're talking about Wall Street, right opposite the New York Stock Exchange. You don't get a better location. A drug chain, big one. You know the name. I won't give it, but you know the name. They're all sort of like big. And I said, what happened? They said, sir, people walk into the store. They walk into the store with bags, and they just go like this in the shelves. We couldn't keep anything in stock. They just robbed us blind. Then I looked at the store, and they were, going to have to move out. I looked at the store, and they have glass all over the place with locks on everything. They have chains wrapped around. I said, you can't run a business like this. He said, sir, it's a phenomenon that we've never seen before. They walk into the store, and they just take whatever they want, and they walk out. And we're helpless to do anything. We're going to change all of this. This country, we're going to change it. And I lost a good tenant, so I'm not too happy. No, but it's all over the city and all over the country, actually. No, it's not here. It's not here, and it wasn't in Des Moines, and it wasn't in certain places. But I can tell you, your major cities run by Democrats, you can't, where they walk into a department store and they walk out with televisions, and the cops aren't allowed to do anything. The police are told, don't do anything. Oh, you could stop it in one day. If you met one or two of those incidents with serious force and let everyone know that that's the serious force, it would stop in 24 hours, okay? Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you. And never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. And I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will always be standing in the way. So we're delighted to be joined tonight by some tremendous people. And I just want to call them out because they've been here from the beginning. They've endorsed me, and they've just been great friends of mine. You know, we have a lot of friends in your state. State Representatives Lily Walsh. Well, Lily, where is Lily? Lily, thank you very much, Lily. What a great, thank you. It's such a great honor. Appreciate it. Tim McHugh. Tim, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. And Clayton Wood. Clayton, thank you very much, wherever you may be. Thank you. Thank you, Clayton. Merrimack County Commissioner David Loveline Jr. Thank you, David. Beautiful. And two people, okay, they've been special to me, friends of mine. I'll give you the Elise Stefanik, Lee Zeldin. And I want them to come up, but they've been special, two special people. They're really brilliant people. Lee, against all odds, came within a few points of winning the governorship of New York. He is so smart. He's such an incredible lawyer, and he almost did it. In the end, they just came down, and there's a lot of bad things happened. But I'll tell you what, one of the best campaigns that anybody's seen, he almost did it. And today it would happen because it's gone so bad, because today they have 350,000 people living there that weren't there then. They're living in the middle of the streets, and it's a horrible scene. And Elise became very famous because she took on the heads of MIT and Penn and Harvard and did it in a surgical way. Wasn't it beautiful? And, you know, she was a great student. I think she went to Harvard. She was a great student at Harvard. And she's brilliant, and Lee's brilliant. Lee's a brilliant lawyer. And they traveled a long way to be here. If you don't mind, I'd just like to have them come up and be acknowledged, all right? Elise and Lee Zeldin.
Are we ready to make history, New Hampshire? Are we ready to make America great again? Are we ready to elect President Donald J. Trump and fire Joe Biden? Yes, we are. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Thank you for staying out in the cold. And I am just so honored to be here. And I'm proud to be the first member of Congress to endorse President Trump for re-election. And I'm excited to bring up my friend and our amazing, amazing former congressman and our amazing candidate for governor in New York State, Lee Zeldin.
Is New Hampshire ready to put President Trump back in the White House? We have a country to save. And when we vote for President Trump, we are voting to secure our border. When we vote for President Trump, we are voting for an economy that would be stronger than ever. We are voting for a foreign policy that is more effective. We are voting for parental rights and a higher quality education inside of our schools. When we vote for President Trump, we are doing it for our veterans, our military, our law enforcement, our firefighters. We do it for our flag, our freedom, and our future. We are doing it. We're voting for President Trump to make America great again. Let's get it done on Tuesday. Let's get it done in November. God bless all of you, and thank you for supporting this great president.
That was pretty good, huh? On day one of my new administration, I will seal the border. I will shut down the invasion of millions and millions of people who are pouring into our country. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. We built 561 miles of border wall. And with the help of Mexico, we did a job that nobody's ever done before. We had it done. You know, Biden goes to the beach a lot because he's got consultants that say, you look great in a bathing suit. You ever see him in the beach? He's going into... No, you look great in a bathing suit. Some consultant is getting paid probably, give him $1 million a year, and he says, we want to see him on the beach. First of all, I don't want to see a guy that much on the beach because it means he's not working, right? But I don't think he's particularly actually, he's heavier than I thought. I thought he was razor thin. It's only his legs that are razor thin. But you know, they have a consultant. He said, this guy looks so good. He's so handsome that he's going to be on the beach as much as we. If he would have gone to the beach, and the problem is, you know those chairs? They're like light aluminum now, right? A child can lift them. They're meant for a child to lift for your grandfather, right? A child. He can't lift a chair. Remember, we used to say, I'd like to take him to the back of the bar. And the press, the fake news said, oh, isn't it so cute? If I ever said that, they'd say, he's a fascist. You know what would happen if he took me to the back of the bar? He'd be in trouble. But you know how I go like this? Under Biden, the USA has been turned into a dumping ground of the world. So we have a couple of, does anyone want to hear the snake? Do you know the snake? Should I do it? So this is I just happen to have a copy with me. This is was a song actually, a long time ago. And I sort of changed it around a little bit. It just reminded me of our border and what's happening. And I do this because, and people think it's cute, but most people that are smart say, boy, that's a problem because this is what's happening to our country at the border. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. Have you heard this before? And how much do you love it, right? Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, cried the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had survived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, cried the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried, but if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me. But why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Thank you. So, when we're taking in people from prisons all over the world, when we're taking in people from mental institutions and insane asylums from all over the world, if you take a look at the population of mental institutions all over the world, you'll see it's way down. Some are empty because it's all being dropped and deposited and dumped right into the United States. How stupid are we? And that is a very accurate portrayal of what's happening, but what's going to happen. There's 100% chance of terror in our country. This isn't like, oh, gee, I fought like hell with the terror ban. I got it approved ultimately by the Supreme Court of the United States. I didn't want to have people come in from countries that like blowing each other up. And we had no terror for 4 years. We didn't have one incident. We didn't have any. And I could never talk about it. Even during the election, I couldn't talk about it because I didn't want to do that and the following day something happens. I didn't want to even give people ideas. But we had no terror, none. We defeated ISIS. We had no terror. Nobody's ever done the job that we've done. But, you know, that is just emblematic. We are taking in people from jails and prisons. You know, there is a slight difference in those words. From mental institutions and insane asylums. We're taking in terrorists at numbers that are massive. They're massive. We're taking in massive numbers of people. We have no idea where they come from. We don't vet them. We have no security. They just pour into our country. It's 100% certain that terrible things are going to happen. And we have no chance. Like Dwight Eisenhower, he was a big deportation president because they were having a problem. By the way, nothing like this. No country's ever had a problem like this. There's never been a problem like this. Nothing like this. But he deported, you know, hundreds of thousands of people that came into our country illegally. And so we're going to unfortunately have to have a mass deportation because no country can withstand this. No country. No country can withstand this. So upon taking office, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to do that, but we have no choice. It's not sustainable. It's not affordable. We owe $36 trillion. It's not affordable, but it's not sustainable as a country. You see where they're coming in, and in New York, they're actually taking over the schools. They're literally taking the seats of kids that have been growing up in a school, and those kids are being sent to secondary schools in bad locations, and people are sitting in the classrooms that don't speak a word of English, and nobody knows what to do about it. It's not sustainable, and we're going to take people back to where they came from, and we have no choice but to do it. And it's going to be, it's so sad because no matter whether you're a super genius or not a super genius, when you take millions and millions of people, and I believe the number is going to end up being 16 million people by the time this ends, the real number. You know, they give you, 3 million, 4 million, it's a lot of people. But I believe the real number is going to be 15, 16. That's larger than New York State. And they just flow in. There's nobody to even check. There's nobody to do anything. The drug lords, the drug lords, thank you, darling. The drug lords and the people that do this, the human traffickers are, I believe they're among the richest people in the world. We used to fight them, and they were tough, by the way, but you used to fight them. And Brandon Judd of the Border Patrol, he's fantastic, and the whole group these people are fantastic. They want to fight. They want to stop it. They're told you can't do anything. Just let everybody pour in. They are fantastic people. They're patriots. ICE. The way we treat these incredible patriots is so sad. But ICE, they would come in for me and they'd fight MS-13, one of the most vicious gangs, probably the most vicious gang in the world, and they'd go in and they'd just start swinging. I mean, it was incredible. Nobody's going to do it. I have friends in the front row. Those guys, they're tough guys, but they're not tough for that. They don't want any part of it. These guys are tough, and they love our country. That's a rough job, and we don't give them the backing that we should. We're going to give our police backing. We're going to give them backing like they've ever had, because we have to straighten out this mess. To stop the deadly drugs that are poisoning our people, I will deploy the U.S. Navy to impose a full fentanyl blockade on the waters of our region. I had meetings with President Xi. He was going to give the death penalty to anybody sending fentanyl into the United States, and he was all set to do it. And then we had a rigged election. He was all set, and then nobody obviously followed up. The drug cartels are waging war in America, and we will destroy those cartels. They're going to be destroyed. And I will use Title 42, as we did for 4 years, to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries, and we'll do that immediately. And the beautiful thing about the law enforcement, we have great people in law enforcement, local and federal, state. But they know all the people. They know all the criminals. They know the good ones, the bad ones. They know everybody. They know them all. They're cops on the beat in some cases, or they're just in the neighborhood. And we'll be working with them because they know everyone. They know who they are, when they came. They know everything about them. They're just not allowed to do anything about it, because if they do, they're going to lose their job, their house, their family. They're going to lose everything. Nikki Haley will never secure the border or stop the fentanyl that is killing thousands of New Hampshire citizens. She never spoke to anybody in China. She kept saying, did you speak to the people about fentanyl in your meeting? Well, we didn't mention it yet. Oh, great. But I spoke directly to President Xi a lot. And he was going to give them, they have the death penalty in China for drug dealers. They have no drug problem at all. They make drugs for us. Okay, that's what their problem is. That's our problem more, because I think the real number is 300,000. That's a 300,000 deaths, destruction of families. When you lose a child, when something like this happens, the family can never ever recover from that. They can never ever be the same. And we're losing hundreds of thousands of people. They like to say 90 and 100. I've been hearing that number for so many years, but we're losing 300,000 and more than that. And China can't do this to us. And I told them, I said, you can't do this. And we have a lot of power over China, a lot of power, a lot of economic power, even though we're losing that, gradually, because we're so stupid. We let them have so much. Nobody ever did. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. No other president took in 10 cents, never took in 10 cents. 28 billion to the farmers and fishermen, by the way. Haley opposed my border wall. She fought like hell against the border wall. Later on, I said, what the hell are you doing? One thing I learned a long time ago, you have a computer, it's obsolete in about 3 weeks. You buy a new phone, 7 months later, they come out with another one. The old one was no good. Everything is like, just they replace it. The two things that they never replaced over thousands of years, what are they? The wheel and the wall. They'll never be obsolete. The wall and a wheel. Everything else is obsolete after about 2 minutes. But she condemned my strong border policies, and in 2016, she stabbed the Republican Party in the back by siding with Barack Hussein Obama against the Trump travel ban, which was one of the best things. I'm telling you, that kept our country safe. This is far more than a campaign. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. What we are a part of, there's never been anything like this. Guys like Pat Buchanan, who was a great guy, but he'd go in and, oh, listen to that. But he'd go in and he came in, I think, second in New Hampshire, long time ago. And he ended up with a great political career because of it, as a pundit. He was a great guy. But here we are, we win every state. And then we won the election. And then we did much better the second time. The second time we got millions and millions of more votes. Somebody said, how did you do? The second time, and this is them, not me, the second time, it's recorded as the most votes ever gotten in the history of our country by a sitting president. And then they say we lost by a whisker. It's so sad, isn't it? Huh? But we're gonna make up for it, and then some. Together, we ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made, and we replaced it with the brand new USMCA, the best trade deal ever made. That's the best trade deal we've ever made in our country. And in fact, Mexico and Canada are trying to renegotiate that deal with Biden. And I just say, if you're listening, Joe, don't do it, because they took advantage of us for many, many decades with that horrible NAFTA deal. USMCA, best trade deal. Everyone acknowledges it. I did that one very personally. It was very personal. I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing in hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars poured right into our treasury. Right into our treasury. They would take so much money out. That's how they built their military. They built their military. Their military could be comparable to ours. Nobody really knows, but it could be comparable to ours. They took it out of our country. And then I gave so much, but I also gave not only to the farmers. We have New England lobstermen that are being horribly treated by this administration. They want them to go out now and get licenses and pay $700 a day. I don't know much about fishing. I do love it. I love what they do, and they're brave people. Boy, that's rough stuff when those waves get up, 3 times higher than your boat, and you're out there and your family's waiting. Are you going to be okay? I mean, this is tough. And then you have to pay these fees. That's going to be ended day one. Day one. And I'll fight for the fishermen like never before. And I did that for 4 years, and you had no problems for 4 years. I even got rid of that ridiculous 500-mile thing, right? You had to go out forever to catch a fish. They had 500 square miles or something. It was all landmarked out that you couldn't do anything. You couldn't fish there. I said, what the hell did you do? We'd have to travel for days to get. It's the most incredible thing. I ended it. And then didn't have much help from Susan Collins, I can tell you that. But in Maine, I made that industry. You know, we won that half of Maine. We won something that you're not supposed to be able to do. And I won because of what we did. But I'll put all that stuff right back. They ended it, and the pipeline they ended. We had the Keystone Pipeline that was done. Everybody was working. The head of the union endorsed Biden. He endorsed Biden. And like 1 week in, they ended the Keystone Pipeline, 48,000 jobs that I got approved. But we'll get it all started up again very quickly. And it caused so much problem, so much problem. Before I even arrived at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I will get it settled. I know Putin. I know Zelensky very well. I know them both, and we're going to get it settled. It's got to get settled. It's a bloodbath over there right now. We will restore peace through strength. And by the way, Europe has to pay. They have to equalize with us. We're into Ukraine for $200 billion, and Europe's in there for about $20 billion, and it affects them much more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between. They don't. And we have to equalize. They have to put up an equal amount of money to us. And even there, we're being generous. But we're in for so much. They come in and they give them billions and billions of dollars. It's like, how the hell do you do a thing like this? Europe is going to have to put up a lot of money fast. And we have to equalize. Does everybody understand what that means? Because we have very similar economies. If you add up all of their countries, it's about the same size. I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent World War III. 100%. 100%. Because we have never been in more danger from weapons of mass destruction. We have never been in more danger of World War III than we are right now. We have a man who has no idea what the hell he's doing, and we are in serious danger because of it. I rebuilt the military, and we're in pretty good shape in that way, but I'll tell you what, we have people that don't know what the hell they're doing. It's so sad. Like taking our soldiers out first in Afghanistan. You take the soldiers out last. Wouldn't you say, Steve? Steve is not a big military guy, but you would say take the soldiers out when the equipment's out, when the people's out, right? It's common sense. Right? We are the party of common sense. They say, you're quite conservative. I say, no, I'm not conservative. I'm a person with a lot of common sense. We need a strong border. We need great elections. We need great education. We want a nice house at a low interest rate. We want a strong military. We want law and order. We want to protect our police. This is common sense. You can say the whole thing in a minute, and it's about common sense. And we're the party of common sense. At least as long as I'm here, we're the party of common sense. And we will build an iron dome over our country as a state-of-the-art missile defense shield. And it's all going to be made in the USA. And you know who had that idea? Ronald Reagan, many years ago. I remember listening. I said, that's a great idea. The problem was when he had it, there was no real technology for it. Today, those things are amazing. You see how it knocks them out in Israel. We're doing other countries. We're helping other countries. We're building iron domes in other countries, but we're not doing it in our country. We're going to build the greatest iron dome anywhere in the world to protect our country. And they work. All made in the USA, by the way. All made in the USA. I will also defend our great veterans, and I will ask Congress immediately to build, and I said we're going to get it. We'll have it very quickly. It's already been more or less approved. We almost had it done until we were interrupted. We will build a full-service VA hospital in New Hampshire right now for your veterans, and they deserve it. You're the only state that doesn't have it. You know that? You're the only state that doesn't have that. You are the only state that doesn't have a full-service VA hospital. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. How about Fani Willis? How about Fani Willis? They indicted many, many people. She wanted to indict many more. She wanted to indict U.S. senators. All they wanted to do is make sure the election was legit, which it wasn't. And then she's Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, starring Fani Willis. Now think of this. How sad is that whole thing? And so many people have been hurt. They've indicted people that are fine people that didn't even know what they're talking about. These are vicious, vicious people. And hopefully that thing now ends, because that's a really, forget about me. There were many, many people indicted. She had a list like 56 people. And all they're doing is they want a fair election. They don't want cheating on the election. It's a disgrace. And now you see this stuff come out. And how bad is that, paying a guy almost $1 million who had zero experience? But it's her boyfriend. And then they traveled all over the world. Norwegian Cruise Lines. Oh, isn't that nice? I'd like to do that. I just don't have time. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they ever have been before. So it affects you a little bit less, but we have to save our cities. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston. We have to rebuild our cities, and we have to watch the crime, and we're going to take down the crime, and we will do something else that's, to me, very important. We're going to take over the horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C. We're going to clean it up, renovate it. We're going to build and rebuild our capital city so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime. 2 nights ago, 3 people were shot. 3 people. They come to our city and they come to our capital and they get shot. They're shot every day. They're being shot. We're going to hit them so hard. We're going to hit them with law enforcement so hard they'll never be doing it again. Remember when they got very rambunctious with ripping down our statues? And I passed a law, quickly signed a law, that if you are seen anywhere near, if you're touching a statue, doing anything negative to any of our monuments, you get 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything. And it immediately stopped. It immediately stopped. But we have to save our capital. People can't go there anymore. Can you imagine you're a foreign dignitary, you hear about the United States, and you're driving over garbage? I was there on one of these fake lawsuits about a month ago, and we're driving down the road, and I always used to say, get that road clean, do this, do that. The medians are broken. The medians are falling down. The medians meaning that crap steel that they use all over the place, the stuff, it looks like if the sun hits it, it melts almost, right? Did you ever see that? It's always in bad shape. But that's falling in. The roads were in horrible shape. The curbs were all broken and busted. And we're riding over garbage cans that are sitting there for 6 months. You know, you can tell garbage how long it's been there just by looking at it if you're smart. And this is stuff that hasn't been swept up in months. And I say, could you imagine if you're in from major countries all over the world, or minor countries, and this is the United States Capitol, and you're driving over garbage, and there's graffiti and swastikas on columns that are magnificent columns that are bigger than this stage in width, and this is what we're stuck with. No, we have to clean up our country. We have to be proud of our country again. We can't have a capital where everybody is being shot. Oh, you have to hear the stories. People they leave the trunks of their cars open so that when they steal the tires, you can take the tire. Just please don't break my trunk. And that's like one of the more friendly stories, what they're doing. They're invading people's houses. Our capital is a crime-ridden mess. And we're going to take it over because they run it so horribly. And we're going to run it by the federal government, which it should be run by. And we're going to get rid of the slums really fast. And we're going to get rid of all those tents that are all over those beautiful parks. And we're going to make that capital so safe, you're going to be dying to go there. It's very important, I think. We'll make it the most beautiful capital in the world. On day 1, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. Thank you. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. Not a penny. And it's hard to believe I have to say this, but I do, because it's not even believable. I will keep men out of women's sports. Who would think this? Who thought of that one? I will fully uphold the Second Amendment like I did. Nobody upheld it better than me, and you want to know? It is under siege. The Second Amendment is under siege. I will never allow a central bank digital currency where they take away your money. And we will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech. So we have a lot of goals. As an example, we will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting, paper ballots, voter ID, as I said. But until then, Republicans, you have to go. We have to win. We have to win. You have to get out. Even though we're going to win, we got to win by a big margin so they know we're coming in November, because that November election, we're going to take our country back. That's what we're taking it back. Because the fact is, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction or damage to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. You could take the 10 worst presidents and add them up. There's nothing even close. When you look at the border, when you look at all of the destruction that's been caused to our country. So if you want to save America, then this Tuesday, January 23rd, you must go out and vote for Trump. That's me. That's me. And as I said, the details are... And as I said, the details, just in case, nh.donaldjtrump.com. So get up and just go vote and grab your friend's vote. The margin is very important. We're going to win this thing, but the margin, if we, like when we won in Iowa, it set such a signal that we won substantially over 50%. Nobody could believe it. It sets a signal out there because they have to know we're coming. We're taking back our country in November, and they have to know. So we want to win by big numbers. We don't want to just win. We want to win by big numbers. So everybody has to go. From Manchester to Meredith, from Plymouth to Portsmouth, from Conway to Concord, you inherit the legacy of red-blooded New Hampshire patriots. That's what you are. Who live by a very, very immortal motto. Do you know what that is? Live free or die. We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and made America the single greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, willpower, and strength. It's very sad to see. We are a nation that has, frankly, lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. You're going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. It's our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country, we will rout the news media, the fake news. We can't stand that fake news. And we will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, the worst president in history by far. And we're going to have an election day in 2024 that you will be so proud of. We're going to make our country so powerful, so great, so strong, so safe. The great silent majority is rising like never before. And under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. They weren't forgotten for 4 years. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much, New Hampshire. Thank you. Go out and vote. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Loud and energetic crowd in Concord tonight for President Trump. The crowd really liked when 45 said if they would have played straight, I'd now be getting ready to leave government, and now they've got me for 4 more years. Making some news tonight, President Trump brought up Tim Scott on stage, who officially endorsed President Trump. And if you missed Tim Scott's speech saying we need a president, the we need a president speech, you're going to have to rewind and watch that on Rumble or YouTube or the app. A great delivery by Tim Scott. And then Lee Zeldin and Elise Stefanik also on stage tonight. The crowd definitely very excited, very energetic tonight because people can sense it, they can feel it, they can feel America possibly coming back. These aren't words of drama, it's just the facts, right? We just want our country to be back to the way it was between 2016 and 2020. We want freedom to win, and we want our Constitution to be the law of the land. We don't want the Democrats to bring in lawlessness as they have. So it's great to see what happened tonight. If you thought tonight was energetic, just wait until tomorrow night, where RSBN will have coverage during the day and then into his speech tomorrow night in a packed arena in nearby Manchester, New Hampshire. We want to thank a number of our sponsors right now. One of them is Birch Gold Group. All you got to do is text Trump to 9998. You can combat the situation that BRICS is leading with right now. Brazil and Russia, India, China, South Africa. They're trying to devalue the dollar, but have a backup plan with gold or silver or precious metals. All you got to do is text Trump to 9998. As well, we want to thank our other sponsors at the Wellness Company. They have a contagion emergency kit. So we know COVID-19, as President Trump said, not just COVID-19, but saying that Governor Sununu, he used the word sucks. Well, that's what happened today as well for the COVID-19. It just sucked. So Disease X is something that the left wing has been talking about as well. So why not have a contagion emergency kit, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, Z-Pak, and a number of other items in that contagion emergency kit. So go ahead and see that information on your screen. Reach out to them. have one of these kits around, maybe two, one in the house, one in the car. Always good to be prepared. Also, we want to thank our friends at Pure Talk. I could personally tell you that some of my family actually has Pure Talk. She said, quote, "I love it." So there you go. Definitely from the direct source right there. I texted my wife earlier. I said, ask your mom. She has Pure Talk, right? Does she like it? And the text back was, yes, she loves it. So there you go for that. Also, mypillow.com. RSBN is the promo code for a lot of discounts on there. Some of the greatest products around. I have the slippers. My wife has the slippers. We have the Giza sheets. We have to get those flannel sheets as well because, man, they look great as well. So many items on there. Help Mike Lindell, as we know, a great patriot for our country and a great, great partner with Right Side Broadcasting Network. RSBN has a newsletter that you can actually get exclusive content, information into your inbox. So all you got to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. You can get that as soon as you sign up. It's free. But what isn't free is all of what you see with this wall-to-wall coverage. So if you find it in your heart that you have an extra few bucks, or say you have some extra cash lying around, I know it's difficult times with Bidenomics, but any dollar or as many dollars as you can will help. rsbnetwork.com/donate to help Right Side Broadcasting Network continue to expand and grow and cover everything from Donald Trump to Matt Gaetz, MTG, Capitol Hill, and beyond. So a great organization, of course, right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Tomorrow, the coverage will start at 3:30 Eastern Time as President Trump is slated, I believe, to speak at 7 o'clock at that arena tomorrow. Brian Glenn, boots on the ground, will be here with us tomorrow as we are just 4 days from the first in the nation primary. If you'd like to follow RSBN on Truth Social, it's at RSBN. If you'd like to follow me, it's at Matthew Alvarez. America, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Seriously. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I have a Christian show called Let It Be Heard, where we analyze culture and current events from a biblical perspective. I highly recommend you guys check us out. We now have episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically, what happens is we react to videos, we have talking points, we have on guests, and it's very exciting. Come check us out on Rumble on the RSBN channel. God bless you guys.